Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today with episode 160 of the H.A.M Radio Podcast.
And it's me, Karak with ACG.
And I am Bill, a.k.a. Fighting Cowboy.
Welcome, Bill. Thank you so much for joining us. We don't collab as often as we talk, but anyway, we got your channel down below. Please check them out for those awesome playthrough videos. You may have noticed
the best T-shirt here. Look at that, Macho Man.
True
I
that.
just picked up on that. Fucking A, baby.
This is vintage. You can't even.
That is old school, bro. Really savage.
You can't beat, right?
I love that. Anyway, I said it was episode 160. Those who pay very, very, very close attention will know that I think I said 158 last episode. I've been fucking up the numbers all along. Basically, what happened was I didn't add a certain episode to the playlist. So what happened was I was miscounting. I've been miscounting for like 10 episodes pretty much. This is a never-ending trial with the podcast. If you remember when Lone was on, when Noah was on, like we've been miscounting for fucking ever, it feels like. And one of these days we will have months on end where we get the number right, but just now it is actually episode 160. That's important for anniversary stuff. But anyway, if you want to flick a buck our way, you get early access to the podcast through the Patreon. That'll be linked down below. Once again, along with Bill's channel. Please check that out. And now, let's go over every single E3 conference that happened, beginning with Microsoft. Microsoft, I think, had personally, out of all the first-party shows, we got Microsoft, PlayStation, Nintendo. I think Microsoft had the strongest one, personally. Let's just run down it all, starting with whoever would like to go first, just talking about their general thoughts on the conference.
Go ahead, Bill.
I will say I agree. Microsoft was really good. I think one of the things to consider, though, is, while it was a good conference, there were a lot of titles that I think got people excited, they're still severely lacking in the exclusives department. I mean, we look at Microsoft exclusives. Obviously, there's a new Gears coming. I mean, I don't think anybody dislikes Gears. Like, you know what you're going to get with Gears of War. There's going to be chainsaws, there's going to be gore, there's going to be blood. If it's not broke, don't fix it. I'm okay with that. But I look at, the flip side, like PlayStation, and it's like exclusive. And while I like what Microsoft is doing, especially like the Xbox Play Anywhere, that's huge to me, because I can play their stuff on PC versus buying another $500 console. I feel like they need to do something in the exclusive game. And, thinking about their titles, we saw Gears, we have Halo Infinite, and I think that's it for exclusives that they have. Ashen.
Okay. One of the coolest looking games ever.
I'm gonna kill this.
That was awesome. But yeah, not many.
I looked at their conference and I was excited because they announced a lot of studios, but for me, it smelled of we're setting up for the long term. You have like a lot of gamer first services in place, like Game Pass, like the Play Anywhere. Of course, Games are Gold. Naturally, PlayStation Plus has their own version of that, but there's a lot of services that I think will become a lot more appealing when we hit the restart button, we launch new consoles. I imagine Microsoft will have a new focus on getting exclusives out the door. Not that they never did, but that I think they'll be more careful and not announce things too early, because that's one thing that they didn't do here. They just talked about studios that they've added. They addressed issues, and once again, it screams we're setting up for the long run. I mean, having your biggest reveal at E3 is we have 5 new studios that are first party being added to our family. I think that's big, because like Bill said, you know what you're getting with Gears, you know what you're getting with Halo. They're still exciting IP. They still add to the Xbox family, but they were special for their time in a way where that's what brought the audience in back in the early 2000s with Halo. And then with the 360, that Gears was like that game that was, oh my god, I got to get an Xbox for that. They haven't really had that app since then that makes I got to get the newest Xbox. And, aside from Rise, Son of Rome, it's a great game. But other than that, aside from that, they really haven't done much to, I think, grab the consumer. But
I mean, there were some, like Scalebound looked like it was going to be awesome, and then it just vanished. And then one thing, they didn't talk about it much at E3 because they had already announced it before, but I do think one thing they have going for them that kind of expands on what you said about them building for the future, that new accessibility kit that they came out with, where it's for like gamers with disabilities, that's huge, because nothing else really does that at all right now. Like even on PC, you don't have that level of accessibility available. So I think that's a really smart move on their part.
Absolutely, and it speaks to the community they're trying to cultivate for the future. I mean, they already have like a very diehard following. You can tell people want to use their Xboxes because State of Decay 2 in May was the best-selling game that month, and that was a month after God of War, and that was the same month as Detroit Become Human, which was another big Sony exclusive that also reviewed pretty well. So people are ready to support Xbox, I think. They just want the game to play it, and I think there might be a little bit of reaching involved because State of Decay 2, I liked it a lot, but it definitely was buggy. It needed some work. And because of that, most people would pass on it. But I think since so many people are like hungry to use the Xbox, they might have just jumped the gun and said, fuck it, I'm buying it anyway because I want to just play my Xbox. I can speak to that because I've done that with my Vita a million times. I just want to play my Vita. Justify my purchase. I'll fucking buy something for it. Karak, though, what did you think overall of the conference?
Yeah, I would say it was the best one to me just overall. I think that Microsoft is going a completely different route right now, value versus exclusives. I think that's fine. Backwards compatibility is huge. Enhanced backwards compatibility is one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life, and I think Microsoft knows that, and they've said all games will be forward and backwards compatible. That's cool. The one thing I did hate, and I like Phil Spencer. I think he knows what he's doing, obviously. Even the people in the industry who work against him are like, that guy's a gamer. Like, he really actually truly is a gamer. The fact that they didn't show more Ashen was a huge misstep on their part, because if you've seen Ashen, you already know what the fuck that game is going to do. And it looks like maybe they're worried about where it is. I don't know. But they said it's fall. I talked to Derek. He said it's for sure fall. Forza 4 looked like one of the greatest games, and I'm a big Forza Horizon fan. Yeah. Forza Horizon 4 looked fantastic. But I think Microsoft's pretty smart because they also wanted to show people they were responding to the complaints. Yeah. So I think this one was more like guys, we're listening, and we're buying studios. Also, something interesting a lot of people didn't pick up on, 2 of those studios were already working on games prior to Microsoft buying them. So they're farther along than a lot of people assume. Ninja Theory was for sure one, and Playground, we already know what they're making. Yeah. Which is, of course, Fable. So,
yeah, they started like hinting at it, and I'm like, oh, they're going to announce Fable, and then they just backed off on it.
I know, and Phil Spencer made it very clear that those are only 4 of the 6 they're buying. They haven't announced the other, or 5 of the 7. One of the 2. They have 2 more than 5. 2 companies that they're in the midst of buying. Giant Bomb did an interview, and Phil Spencer said that there were 2 huge, acquisitions that they didn't get done with the business prior to being able to announce. It was enjoyable, guys. Like, it was like, here's a bunch of games, and exclusive doesn't mean much, Matty. You and I have talked about it. It sounds like it does, but if they're bad games,
well, but that's the thing.
K2 sold for a good number because it was cheap, not necessarily because it was amazing.
Yeah, but if we're gonna talk exclusives, like, I mean, just look at what PlayStation's put out. Horizon Zero Dawn, phenomenal game. The new God of War, phenomenal game. It's a little bit older, but Bloodborne, phenomenal game. Like,
I love Bloodborne. Yeah.
A lot of the exclusive PlayStation's putting out, they are phenomenal titles. Like, hands down, some of the best titles of our generation. And I agree that exclusivity isn't everything, but when you're putting out consecutive, like, 9 out of 10 games that are like, definite, you need to play this, you need to experience this titles, that I think that does say something. Like, that's...
Oh, apologies. I wasn't saying that. I was saying exclusives doesn't mean they'll be good. Microsoft has proven with ReCore.
No, yeah.
So I agree completely.
Okay.
I apologize. This is something Maddie and I've talked about a couple times, where it's like, yeah, it is exclusive, but guess what? Sea of Thieves ain't the best. So it's like, right? So it's like what I meant was
lack of content.
Sea of lack of anything. Yeah, that was the problem to me, is that I get that they want exclusives. You do. They want exclusives, and I agree with you. Like, Detroit loved it. God of War loved it. They've got a lot of good games, but Microsoft hasn't shown that they can do that. And so to me, I'm happy with them doing value right now. And in fact, I don't want them announcing anything. Like, I would much rather have them be like, shh, use 2 years of your time and go over there and make something good, because State of Decay could have been great, and it didn't get the polish it needed.
And what sucks is, like, Crackdown is just looking like it's just been delayed so many times. I don't want to speak too soon because I could easily be wrong, but it's just looking like it's not going to be that app that they need, especially because it's the third in the franchise. Is that really going to be what brings everyone around to their Xbox again?
It's going to be Agents of Mayhem 2, which is what worries me, because that game was great. Yeah. And I have a feeling you and I are going to sit down and start playing that and go, like, not even angry, just like, And I don't want another, I want something that makes me go, oh, fuck.
The last time I went, oh, fuck, for an Xbox game was probably Gears 4, honestly. I really liked that game. I'm sure like there are hardcore Gears fans who dissected it and probably don't think it's as good as the originals, which I respect, I get, but I really liked, especially the campaign. That one really, that one kind of surprised me.
And Bill brought up a good point, guys, about the accessibility, like, because I do work with vets, and so a lot of them I talked to, that's the main thing they wanted to do, was play games, and now they're not able to physically. Yeah. And fucking $99, you can't tell me Microsoft's not losing money on that. And so the fact that they're like $99, plug in anything you want, we want more people joining gaming. And that right there is like, that was honestly one of the biggest things to me when they announced that. Like, I cannot wait to see that. I'm going to buy one, even though I don't know if I'll need it, but I'll buy it.
That's what I did with Vampire. They gave me a code. I'm like, I'm buying this anyway, because shit's so good. Gotta support them where you can. Yeah, anything else on the Microsoft conference, though? We saw kind of a focus on JRPGs, which was interesting considering Japanese is their smallest market, easily. Yeah. Very tiny.
How many they sold, guys? They sold 700 Xboxes and 1 Xbox X last week. That's in Japan. In Japan, there's some poor sap who bought a single Xbox X in a store, and they counted it. Like, Japan, Microsoft can never crack Japan. It's not going to happen.
No, because Sony is like, it's there. Sony has a drape over Japan, and they're like, you fuck off and stay away, Microsoft.
Well, and they're an American company, right? Yeah. And I think
and Nintendo.
It's okay to admit that there's some
there's some markets you're just not going to get.
I mean, you got to look at it from Microsoft's perspective. They're fighting against two primarily Japanese companies. Yeah. So it's
hey,
a tough
did you
market
guys
to crack.
Did either one of you guys, were you excited at all for Forza Horizon 3? I didn't get much of a response. So are you guys not that fan of those? Not a fan?
No, racing games, sports games, those are the two big categories I just kind of avoid.
Makes sense.
I liked Forza Horizon 3 a lot. Not that I'm going to stay away from it, just this fall's looking really fucking busy, and like there are those mini games, I guess you could call them, that I'm looking forward to, like a Forza Horizon 4, like a Lego DC Villains, like those games that that'd be so fun to play. But it's Hitman 2 is another one. It's like, that'd be fun, but it's just releasing in such a crowded section between games I actually want to play, trying not to burn myself out too. It's all stuff I want to balance for. I don't know if I'll squeeze those in. So, yeah, Horizon 4, like, it looks good. I speak as someone who does not like racing games either, and Horizon 3 kind of brought me into the loop on that. So I have no reason to doubt 4. It's just, am I going to make time for it? Probably not.
Yeah.
Unless, like, my gamer ADD kicks in and I'm like, I get something new now. Maybe that.
Oh, dude, I'll talk you into it. I'll be like, codes are being given out, dude. What about Forza?
Yeah, I'll just check my schedule. Okay.
Wait, you and I did a combination video.
We did. We made it a pretty extensive, like a 50-minute discussion on that one. Good times.
It was.
All right, let's move on over to PlayStation. In my opinion, a little bit of a lackluster year on the E3 show floor for them, especially as someone who was there. They just kind of focused on 4 primary titles. It was Death Stranding, Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man, and The Last of Us 2. A stellar lineup in the scheme of things, but no surprise reveals that you expected E3. Nothing crazy, but because we knew what we were getting going into this, so I think it removed some of the excitement. There was the awkwardness of shifting from like venue to venue and then having these droll interviews go on in between. I get what they were trying to do, but I didn't find it necessary. So what did you guys think of PlayStation's conference generally?
Like they felt to me like the hype man that GameStop hires to stand at the door and try to relate to you, but he doesn't actually know shit about games. And they were just like, oh, wow, that sure did look cool. I liked generic point number 3 about that title. Oh, wowzers. And it's like, would you shut the fuck up? Just go back to show us trailers. So the presentation, I felt like was filler. The presentation was a 1 out of 10. The presentation was complete shit. Their title-wise, though, the lineup looks phenomenal. I mean, Last of Us 2, like, the whole time I was watching that, I was like, there's no way is this gameplay? Is this cinematic? I can't tell. and then I would see like button prompts, and I'm like, no wait, this is gameplay, and I'm like, no wait, this is too scripted. I still don't know, but if that's actually what the gameplay of Last of Us 2 is going to be, that's like game of the century. That is game breaking.
That's what
Ghost of Tsushima looks pretty. I don't know if it'll be good. Right now, I feel it looks too pretty. I worry it's going to be a very pretty title, but on gameplay, it's going to be lacking. Biggest thing for me was, which actually a minor announcement, but Nioh 2. I am.
Yeah.
Nioh, oh my god. I about ejaculated all over when I heard that. I was like, oh my fucking god!
You're not expecting that? I thought it was soon. I wasn't expecting that.
I did not. So that was because I was really hoping, I think a lot of people were like, what is going to be the new thing? Everyone expected a new Souls-like, and we got Sekiro, but it's obviously not a Souls-like. It's going to be a single-player, story, action, adventure, and they definitely did a little bit of teasing with From Software, and then it's a fucking VR title.
Yeah.
They're like, you might know
Weird.
From Software, and I'm like, Sony, From Software, let's go. Bloodborne 2. Fuck.
Yeah,
so
all the
like,
same thing.
Let's take a look at the new VR title they're making.
It's a fucking. It was like 2 pictures. I don't know what was going on.
Yeah.
So then, like, having Nioh 2 come down, it was like Michael coming down from the heavens. He's like, I am here to scratch your difficult game itch, my son. And I was like, yes, Daddy, please give me games now. And, Nioh 2. But, a lot of the other stuff, like, the presentation, like I said, it was just kind of, I like their lineup, but I feel their presentation was shit.
Yeah. For me, I actually didn't put that 2 together because Sekiro I didn't know was going to be a kind of single player game. I read it was going to be like harder, they said, than Souls and Bloodborne, but I don't know how much that matters, especially like you're in that community, how much that matters if you can't create your own build and really dial in on that. Where Nioh 2, I was reading, like, has character customization. I think they're like ditching William entarily. I was like, I said fuck yeah too when I saw that.
Well, the two points I want to make, which are going to get your hype boner even more. One, Nioh 2, it's and this part of this is guessing, part of this is based on interviews, but if you watch the trailer, your character turns into a yokai, and during one of the dev interviews, they confirmed that there are yokai mechanics in place. So I don't know if it means the guardian spirit system is gone, but there will be some type of system where you become a yokai and get yokai abilities in the game, which that sounds fucking awesome.
Yeah,
like, I'm all
especially
about
after fighting them the whole fucking game. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm about that. Yeah.
And then Sekiro, even though it's going to be more of a single player, it's going to be a lot closer to kind of like a like Ninja Gaiden, like single player, but it's very fast paced. And one of the big things, the combat system is going to be a lot more than where Souls, health bar, who's going to win, very precise combat. Sekiro, the way it's going to work is there's like a poise system in place, if you will, and as you get these perfect parries, the enemy's gauge kind of goes down, and the idea is to unbalance your opponent and then strike for an instant kill type thing. So kind of reminiscent of some of the older games like Way of the Samurai, Tenchu, kind of similar mechanics in titles like those. But I think even then, it'll still be good. It's just people that are going into Sekiro thinking this is Bloodborne 2 or this is Dark Souls 4. It's not. From Software is definitely going to make a fantastic title, but you need to go into it expecting a single player action adventure versus the Souls like that we're used to from them.
Interesting. See, I didn't even know that, so that's good to know. What do you guys think of Spider-Man? Karak, I know you were like raging over that one. You were like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, and you know me, I'm not a big Spider-Man fan.
Yeah.
But like they had that, technically wise, they had that shit just nailed down. There was a couple little frame rate issues here or there, but infinite draw distance, a couple things they're doing with the GPU that's different than other games. I was like, to me, those other Sony titles, meh. Like I get Nioh, of course, Nioh, because like I'm a fucking huge Nioh fan. So like that is definitely on the list. But like Death Stranding, I was all, okay, great, you're a fucking baby delivery man. Like I don't really care.
No one knows what that game is.
No one knows, right? And it could turn out to be awesome, so I'm sure somebody's madly typing into the comments.
I'm with you guys that I don't give a fuck about Death Stranding. Maybe that's not what you were saying, but I don't.
The best description I heard of it, somebody said that it is a Amazon Prime delivery simulator based in a dystopian future where invisible monsters try to steal your packages.
Yeah, it's like an embryo Uber.
Yeah.
From what it looks like. So I looked at those. Last of Us is definitely gameplay, but it's usually scripted AI results, which I didn't like, where like you turn and that's right when the enemy turns, all that kind of stuff. So that won't play out the same for us. That's okay. I thought it looked fantastic. I mean, soft lighting in that game. They're doing shit with soft lighting in that game, as Bill said, where you're all, what? Like, is that what the fuck? Because guys, the gameplay looked way better than the cutscene. That cutscene looked like two mannequins kissing. Like, I don't know what was going on with the cutscene. Yeah. They were all shiny. They looked like fucking a bunch of Barbie dolls. And then you cut to the gameplay, and it's like, what the fuck? So that excites me a lot. But Spider-Man, the animation blending, the shit that's going on in that game, and again, Matty got me into Spider-Man because I'm not really into it, and then he was talking about it a while ago, and I was like, well, I'll keep an eye on it.
If you don't like it.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I'll come after you. But the shit that they showed makes me believe that it will be the Batman title for Spider-Man, and that's really what I think people want. I'm not necessarily in love with Batman combat. Why? Press Y to win. But what they show looked insane, and everything about Batman, because I just did a video on this, everything about like the old Batman games was like you can get on top of this golem, but then everybody can. And so it's the same overall pattern for everybody. There's a golem, you can get on it. But what goes on with Spider-Man is anywhere in the world is climbable. So that means there's a flexibility to the entire form of that title.
Really good points in that video.
Above. Thank you. And it's above and beyond. And dude, I'm so excited. When that thing was playing, I was just like, and again, I'm not a big Spider-Man fan, but I was like, that's fucking technically some of the highest proficiency I've seen from anyone. It looks like something a PC would need a 1080 Ti to deliver at times. Like, it was that good. So to me, easily game of their show. Anything they show for Spider-Man.
I do agree with that. Especially the only concern I really will say I had with Spider-Man is I was looking at like the little details. I was looking at when he climbed up on the top of the tall building, and he goes and unlocks all these objectives around him. Like, the first thing he does is he grabs a collectible. He grabs a backpack off the wall. And then he goes and clears out like a raid base, and it's just waves of enemies. And then they go and get another collectible in this separate demo just on like a different perspective. And then he goes into another wave-based area, and I'm just like, okay, like, that's the last thing I want to see. It's just like, that has been the poison that has killed every Spider-Man game for years.
And Ubisoft titles.
Yeah,
repetitive, get rid of the collectibles.
Open world objectives. I personally don't mind collectibles, but when I just see two very basic types of missions to send yourself on, it's not a good sign for me. Because I'm not, at least me personally, I don't play these superhero games for the story. Like, even Batman, which I thought had a really good story mode, I didn't come in for that experience of, tell me a great story. It was like, I want to be the Batman. Same thing with Spider-Man, but I feel the objectives in a New York City have to be somewhat enticing to keep you swinging through the world.
Organic.
Yeah, exactly. That too. And I also saw one that was like a bomb challenge. Like, he threw it in the air, you mash R2 a bunch of times, he webs it up, and he gets like a gold medal. What they should have probably done is just showcase like what these medals can be spent on. They said they're for like crafting materials or upgrades that you can use to make new suits, get new abilities with them. So if there's like a fucking huge wheel of gadgets like most Insomniac games have, and we have a ton of suits, which I know suits have unique abilities in their own right, maybe this won't be an issue. I'll enjoy going into these challenges because I know I'm getting like a new gameplay element out of it. Because like I just said, I want to be Spider-Man, so maybe that's what it's all built around. But just from watching it, much like Karak, I was very impressed with a lot of the technical details. But when it came to the objectives, little concerned because, like I said, I don't know if the story's going to be good or not. Insomniac certainly hasn't been the world's grade A storyteller. They've always been about fun.
You didn't like Fuse?
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, man, good times. Ghost of Tsushima, I personally like, though.
Did you play it, Matty?
No, it wasn't playable. But what I saw, I didn't play any PlayStation games. I'll tell you guys when I have played something. I didn't play anything from Microsoft, PlayStation, or Nintendo, actually. Just because they were ones I never tried to get into contact with. But Ghost of Tsushima I really liked because the camera angle. Honestly, that was what really sold me. The camera angle, like when that they said it was a side quest. That whole thing that happened, where you get into this big fight with someone who seems pretty close to you. They said, "Oh, yeah, this is all side quests." I was like, "That's pretty top tier shit." If that's the case, I doubt it's concurrent across the whole game. Let's be honest, but it was just the camera angle. It was like, wow, this feels like I'm watching a traditional samurai movie of some kind or something like that. And it got me pretty hyped because I love that type of shit. I'm a sucker for that Japanese culture. But this is just something different. There's a lot of samurai games, I feel. Sekiro was kind of in that realm. There was also Ghost of Tsushima, and there was one other I can't remember right now, but my friends and I were like, geez, man, there's so many. Like, I'm totally cool with it because it's an unexplored realm. I kind of highlighted that a little bit with Vampire. I was like, that's a section in gaming, like lore on vampires, and that whole section, is that something that we should explore? Same thing again, the feeling with samurais. It's like, yeah, let's go into that area because it may be common in movies, but it's not common in games.
Right.
At least
I find it funny though that the camera angles what got you excited. For me, that was a turnoff for the game because it's supposed to be an open world RPG, and seeing the forced camera angle, I was like, man, I really hope. Like it was confirmed later in an interview that it's not just locked like that, but for a bit there, I was like, I mean, I respect the whole traditional samurai battle thing, but if I gotta play the whole fucking game like this, there's no way. And then they confirmed, like, you can actually rotate the camera and whatnot in fights. It's just like that to give a cinematic presentation.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought the whole, because I mean, there have been games like that where the whole game is fixed frame, and that irritates the shit out of me. That's like the stuff we'd expect from like PS2 Resident Evil days.
Yeah.
That shit used to, and like I love those games. But the old Resident Evil game, that shit would irritate me because I'd be holding forward and then the camera would
you
flip
suddenly
around.
go in a different direction.
Yeah, and then instead of going down the hall, I'm going back, and then I'm just in an infinite loop trying to go down a fucking hall. But yeah, it's not. You can't freely move the camera, which is good. So that increases.
I get that. I get that concern because I remember. I feel your pain because I remember the first camera angle when they encountered each other in like the shrubbery. I was like, it was just on an awkward angle, and it was staying there the whole time. I'm like, fuck, this. I love what I'm seeing in the terms of combat. It just looks like it's patience. You're just waiting for your enemy to strike and just staring them down. But like I said, the camera is just on this like awkward left-centered angle, but your guy's all the way back here.
Yeah,
it's like your enemies are in the foreground. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you're like I can't even see if they're gonna attack her now. I hope I don't have to play like this.
Exactly. No, I feel you on that.
I don't know if Bill played it, but like God of War, any game that like locks me in, I start to get a little uncomfortable with over time. And so it's like the same thing he was talking about. Sometimes you play a game and you can play it, but you're like, damn. And it's funny enough, even a top tier title like God of War shows me that that's true for me too. Yeah. If I get too locked in for too long, I start like, it's almost where you get angry or just frustrated. You always feel a little bit cut off, and no enemy has a fucking camera angle. They can see all directions. Yeah. So it's like you're the human who's just fucked, and the entire gameplay is based around that. And so my hope with that game is that you can control it almost like maybe a cinematic button. If you want to hit the cinematic button, that'd be awesome. And then if you don't, you have your typical gameplay camera.
That's cool. Yeah, like
I would love
camera setting, like cinematic versus free rotation.
Look at like basketball games. They've got 18 cameras.
Yeah, true.
Like it's time, because if they do return to a Resident Evil, I'll kill myself. I can't fucking... I had to re-review a Resident Evil game, and I had to literally go, okay, you got to remember, it's not based on today's gameplay. You have to really force yourself, because I have never been so angry as watching that loading screen pop up multiple times, because I was going up and down in some Resident Evil game.
Yeah.
So I hope...
Talking about like the remake or re-release of the first one?
Yeah, it was...
I never bothered because of that. I was just like, it looks like something I just can't adjust to.
It was frustrating as fuck. So, yeah.
I never gave my thoughts on Last of Us 2. There was something with the hand-to-hand combat. Mind you, I should specify I loved everything I saw, but there was something with the hand-to-hand combat that, much like Bill, I was thinking to myself, like, no fucking way this is legit gameplay. No way this is not scripted. Because there were, like, certain moments that... Like the way she, I think she it was the way they were like fighting against each other, and the way she like pressed against a car, at like one point, and the way like when she was hitting someone and then put them like down on their ass into the environment, the way she vaulted over things, it was like, if it like Bill said, if it is actually the case, it is game of the fucking century, because it's like, holy fuck smooth. Yeah, it's like exactly how you'd react in real life, but I'm like, that's exactly why I think it's a cutscene, because, or not a cutscene, but scripted. Like, there's no way you're gonna be rolling around and banging into the environment so casually and so almost organically. Like, anything could happen, because that's how a real fight would go in that circumstance. That's the only thing that threw me off. I was like, I really want to get hyped here, but
I'll throw you a link, Matty. There's a interview with one of the leads who talks about the new motion capture tech.
Okay.
And it certainly does seem like some of that stuff will be there, because it's some additional thing that they're doing. And I remember like people were asking him after E3, and he was like, no, we're using this new type of motion capture tech. The animation blending, like you said, like if you put your hand out, those kind of things can happen. But one thing I did notice in that game, like you did, is like there was a lot of games have issues with collision detection.
Yeah.
You put your hand out and it's rubbery. It's like you're not touching the item. You're touching this invisible shield. Exactly.
Like, I'll go to touch the corner of my laptop here, but like in the game, like your fingers are just clipping through it a little bit, and it's like he's kind of resting it there. But like when she like pressed against the car door, like you saw just
it was right there,
like that.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting to see. I agree. That's like, and if they do, technically wise, you're right. Game of the ever at that point.
Yeah, huge leap. I don't fully doubt it, just because. You look at The Last of Us 1 and how when Joel would engage in hand-to-hand combat, if you started punching to someone consecutively and you were near an object, he would grab them and like put them against the wall. Same thing with Uncharted. Like when you're walking through a cave, once you started walking up to a wall, like Nathan Drake would gradually put his hand out and touch the side of the wall.
Yeah.
It's just like a little detail, and it wasn't like that clipping thing, like hand on the wall. Yeah. So it's something that Naughty Dog could do. It's just, I mean, the way it looked, I was like, no way. Like, this can't... It was almost disbelief. I was like, this can't be actual gameplay. Like, this is what the game looks like. This is how the game plays. But no way all of this is in the final product. That's what I'm trying to say.
There's no way you can organically experience it to that level of detail.
Unless you know what you're going to do every single time. And the game does, too. Yeah. I think it's going to be one of those titles that certainly moves us forward, though. They're definitely good at that. If there's any company out there that can nail moving everybody to a completely different, marker, it's them.
Definitely. Anyway, any final thoughts on PlayStation?
I feel bad for them technically, but I feel bad for everybody. There was 18 open mics I counted. It was a disaster when I was streaming it. Like you hear that one guy panicking in the background. I don't know if you heard that one guy at the Sony conference. He's like, "Don't tell me what to do." And then a little bit after, on another open mic, the guy's like, "Can anybody fucking hear me?" And you're just like, "Oh!" It felt really bad for them. Like I was like, man, it was funny, but seriously,
it was towards the end of the broadcast. You heard there was a lot of crosstalk going on.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, that's the only.
Somebody probably lost their job basically.
That audio engineers at all of E3 that they thought it was funny during Ubisoft when the chick comes out. She's like, "We nailed it," but then like 15 seconds after that, Ubisoft had another open mic, and it just started. EA had some open mics. It was like the audio. He's right. Audio engineer most likely is now applying for jobs on LinkedIn.
Yeah, absolutely. So, anything else on PlayStation though, or
wasn't much there.
Nintendo. This was one I was looking forward to a lot, and a little bit of a ball drop in here, in my opinion. Despite
ball drop?
Yeah.
Ball drop? Are you fucking kidding me, Matty?
Dead serious.
Smash Bros could ejaculate on your face right now, and you would rub it into your skin.
That was the reason I was so excited. I was hyped for Smash. I was hyped for Pokemon. I still am. I wanted to see like new modes in Smash. I wanted to see new fighters. Like, okay, look, I get Ridley was highly requested. I feel like I don't give a fuck about Splatoon. This is just me as a Nintendo fan. Like, I don't give a fuck about either of them. So for me, I viewed those new additions to the roster as like scraping the bottom of the barrel. And then when you couple that with just bringing everyone back, it felt very... Oh, I just fucking cut my finger. It felt very underwhelming. because it just felt like, okay, here's a big nostalgia trip instead of like, here's the new things we're bringing. I get why people are excited. I'm still going to buy the game because I love Smash and I want to go back and play Solid Snake. I want to go back and play Squirtle and Ivysaur. You know, just that fun shit.
The Pokemon trainer looks fucking dope.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, swapping between Pokemon.
You know, the little changes that are coming to these characters, but it's like, you know, some people are going, I'm more excited for this than I was for Smash 4. And I was like, well, I liked Smash 4 because it felt like a true evolution. Like, it was on the Wii U, but they're like, we're also bringing it to the DS, and then the DS had its own unique art style. And there was also like the announcement of new characters, the new modes, which I'm sure between now and December, with all the Nintendo Directs, we'll get that stuff. So I don't want to panic too soon. I'm not even panicking, I should say. But just for the E3 stuff, I was expecting personally a little bit more.
Crazy, man.
See, I think we're gonna see it, but we're gonna see it with like you think about the last Smash. How many for DLC? We had Ryu, we had Bayonetta, we had Mewtwo, we had Cloud, we had. Isn't there more? Or is that it? Am I forgetting some? We had Corrin.
He was DLC.
No, we're not Corrin. The Dragon Chick from Fire Emblem Fates, the one that turns into a dragon.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, them, and then I want to say there was like one more, but like that was for that title, that was pretty good. And considering the roster we have, I mean, you know they're going to go a DLC route. You know they're going to add characters.
Yeah.
So I'd say if anything, it's more a blessing because the whole fucking cast is here. So we know that they're not going to be pulling back anything old, and anything they add is going to be an original character. And I emphasize an original because they already have, you know, like Bomberman as an assist and whatnot. So anything that exists as an assist, I find it unlikely that they'd add it in. So we're going to be getting other things. Now, the one thing that I will say I'm concerned about that Nintendo didn't talk about is their whole online service, because they've been kind of talking about this online service for a while, and I want details because I want to be able to boot up a Smash lobby and, like, you know, go on stream and have 7 viewers come in and have a big old brawl. But it's still kind of in limbo, and we don't know what the deal with that online service is going to be. And I feel that's an important. I mean, that's the biggest thing for me with Smash is, you know, the community. No one buys Smash to just play it by themselves. You know, you buy it to play with friends, to play with people. And like, what is going to be the deal here, Nintendo? We need details.
Yeah, I mean, you know, what you just said about Smash, it does admittedly alter my opinion a little bit. You're right, because it does. You have 60 plus fully fleshed out characters now off the bat. I guess, you know, my thing is, like, I want to see new ones. It's like, how much are they going to say for DLC? Because they very much did take the DLC route with Smash 4. It's like, well, who are they holding back now? Who will they end up holding back? Who could they even bring in is the other question. I know people joke about Waluigi. Yeah, but
I don't honestly after the shit show that's happened with that, I don't think we'll see him just because the people they started harassing the director of Smash.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah. Oh, they were going on.
Yeah, they were
going on Twitter with some offensive shit. There was one like you know, blah blah blah. He committed 11, and it like showed like the Twin Towers getting blown up.
Yeah, it was
just like
aggressive
just like
shit.
Yeah, like, aggressive low tier trash trolling. Just
yeah, that's stupid.
And after that, you know, Nintendo's basically like, all right, y'all can go fucking climb back in your garbage can.
Maybe that's why, Bill. Maybe that's why they don't talk about the online, because they're just nervous. They're like, we don't want these trolls getting on here.
Yeah.
I don't think you're wrong.
But dude, the move Mario Party, can we take a moment to appreciate a new Mario Party coming out? That looks so much fun.
Hey, I have to admit something right here. I told my friends this, and they were like, what? I never played Mario Party.
Wow.
Ever.
Wow.
Ever. I've only played, like, the Pokemon Stadium mini games, which I loved. But that's about it.
Mario Party ends friendships.
Really?
In the best way possible, dude.
It's like GoldenEye, where people remember it 6 years later, and they'll be like, I'm not coming over to your house.
That's amazing.
I'm hyped because I got a Switch, and my neighbor has a Switch, and he's just as much a nerd as I am. And I know we're going to have nights where him and the wife come over, and we just fucking bust out some beer and play Mario Party up on the projector, sitting there like trying to knock people, like push them to the ground while they're trying to do challenges and shit so they fuck up. Like, I'm so excited.
That's funny as shit. I mean, that sounds like for me Dragon Ball Fighters. Like, friendships were on the line. Hey,
yeah, that's what we usually play.
Serious shit talk. Disgusting.
The thing about Mario Party is there's so much like there is a lot of like I want to say artificial skill. Like, it's not like playing like CS:GO or something, but there is a little bit of finesse to the mini games. And you could be the most finesse fucker in the room, acing all these mini games, and then you get to the end, and there's just some like RNG bullshit like player 4, we're gonna give the "You Tried" award, and we're gonna give them 2 of player 1 stars. And you're like, what the fuck? No, I earned those stars. Fuck you, give those back. And like, you're mad at the game, but you're also mad at your wife for suddenly taking stars from you, and you're like, how dare you? So it invites legit tension arises from playing that game. Like, it tests the boundaries of your friendship and your relationships.
I love it. That sounds like it's good. I mean, what else? They didn't show Metroid. They showed Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu.
I can't do it, man.
You didn't like that?
See, I'm all about like the one how they talked about there's going to be a new gen that comes out probably either late 2018 or early 2019. Yes, but I can't go back to Gen 1 again. Like I like Gen 1. I grew up in Gen 1. I remember like running across the grass to my neighbors to trade fucking Pokemon. But I can't do it again. And the other thing is looking at the whole Let's Go, it seems like you're just going to be like clomping around the world and being like, oh, I found a Pokemon. Boom, caught it. And I think a big part of the game for me is like I get my dick hard from like making that ultimate team and being like, I got fucking multiple type coverage here, I got that speed stat, I'm gonna sweep your shit. And this seems more like a casual go around and catch the Pokemon adventure and integrate with Pokemon Go, and that's cool and all, but as somebody like I consider myself a trainer more than I would consider myself a Pokemon fan. Like, if I'm at my friend's house and her kid's like, hey, Bill, you want to play me in Pokemon? I'm like, you're about to get fucked up, kid. Come here. Like, I'll pull out the DS and I'm burying this fucking kid with my Charizard Y with perfect IVs. He's going to cry when I'm done with him. And I'm not afraid to admit that. So the idea of just going around and catching the Pokemon, it's not, I'm just kind of like, it's cool. If it had been around when I was a kid, I would be fucking ecstatic for it. But, fast forward, 15, 20 years and it's kind of like, come on, Nintendo, really? Like, fuck the new generation. What about me? Give me something.
What do you think, Karak?
I think that Fortnite was big for Nintendo. I think that Sony can fuck off and die in a fire with their account locking bullshit that they are doing.
That's something else, man. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, we can. I don't even mean to bring that. That's a long
just
story.
Egg on their face at the end of a generation right now.
Yeah, and so I think Fortnite's huge. I'm not a fan of it at all, but I'm so happy for people who are because they get to play it, on the Switch if that's what they want to do. I think that's fucking awesome. I think that that's a huge get for Nintendo to get that on to a platform that it doesn't look the greatest or anything. It's not the most powerful platform. It's still very cool that they're being able to play it. But I will say this. I'm not a Smash Brothers fan, and I was riveted to that fucking trailer the entire time they were showing everything for Smash Brothers at the end. And that, I guess, should say that it looked cool to me. So I don't know anything about what you guys are talking about when you're talking about DLC and you're mentioning names. It sounds like another language. I just don't follow it. But I'm going to tell you right now, that trailer was going, and I was in Twitch just going like, I can't look away. Like, I'm actually interested in this. However, I don't have enough Adderall in the world to fucking play that game with 8 people on my little screen. That shit's going to be docked as fuck. There's they showed it and they zoom out and I'm like, fuck it. It's just blobs now.
I just don't even participate in those fights. Fuck it,
dude,
man, fights.
It was hilarious though. It was like, that'll be a test to verify if your Adderall is being cut with baking soda. Because that shit is aggressive. I mean, they're going to be that big. There's going to be 8 on the screen. I can't wait. I'm going to do docked. I'm not going to play that fucker, handheld. But I was so excited for that game. I don't know what it was. And I loved how they were like, and I get that people think it's because Nintendo didn't have a lot to show. It doesn't really matter to me. They were showing like actual battle techniques and stuff in their E3 trailer, which sounds really weird, but I'm a nerd. And so to me, I was like, that's a fucking cool E3 trailer. Like that's the way to handle E3. Like, speak to me a little bit and tell me like where a frame counts or something like that.
Well, that was the interesting part.
For the professional scene, like the competitive scene.
Yeah.
Dude, everybody, because the Smash competitive scene is huge. I'd say it's one of the biggest fighting game scenes, if not the biggest. And, everyone from the scene had like erections seeing mechanical changes.
Yeah.
Because that's what I had heard too. You know, when I was looking up impressions videos, I'm like, you know, maybe I'm missing something here. That's constantly what I heard was like the technical aspect. Like you can't, like rolling constantly on the stage, like you slow down. Like there's almost a stamina gauge now where you can't just dodge roll everywhere.
Yeah.
Air dashing, I think they said that's like something that's been almost nerfed where now you can bounce people off the arena. Yeah.
Blocking, it slowly like wears things down and slows down. I love it, man.
God. You know, I think it's a game that, how do I word it? It's almost in a way like, and I'm not saying this is what the game is, but it's almost like a remaster in a way where it's like once you play it, you get it, you're like, okay, like I feel the differences. This is a more fun Smash. This is different, but it's not like here's XYZ new modes and here's these new characters like I personally expected. It's like it looks like behind the scenes little tweaks, but based off the reception of a lot of Smash Pros, it seems like a little more dramatic than that. Back to Pokemon, though. I got back into Pokemon Go because of the trailer with Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Like, I've been fucking grinding this shit again, man. Like, making sure I got everything to go for my Pokemon Go park, because I was actually looking forward to it. But I do share some of that after seeing the gameplay. Like, seeing that you don't fight wild Pokemon, for example, that you just catch them.
Okay.
I just kind of was like, what? That doesn't make sense. Like, how, like, am I going to use the berry system from Pokemon Go here, too? Because, like, it works on a phone, because it's like, whatever, it's a phone fucking game, I don't give a shit. It's not supposed to make full sense, but, like, I'm not supposed to paralyze this guy or anything, because he's a strong Pokemon, get him weak to make it easier to catch him. It's like, no, you just catch him. I like the co-op trainer battles. I thought that was really cool. I just wonder if they're going to add anything to the region you're in, Kanto. A lot of questions to be asked about this. But
outside of that, I wanted to ask you, Matty, do you care about games like Hollow Knight, which was one that they showed?
Hollow Knight,
dude.
Because Hollow Knight's...
I played a little bit of that on this laptop right here, and I like it a lot. Very good game.
I don't know about you guys, but the Switch hurts my hands. I've talked about this with Alone, because Alone's got his little baby hands, and he's fine. But for me, with my meat-eater hands, it hurts my right thumb a lot. Like, something about where that's placed. But I saw like Hollow Knight and a couple others that got me interested in like really sitting down and playing that portable, which I haven't done in a while.
Oh, dude,
mostly
Hollow
I do
Knight
it because I'm reviewing it. It's doc.
Yeah, there are certain games that I just don't play because I know they feel better on different systems. I always go back to Shovel Knight. I remember playing it on my DS. I didn't have my DS XL at the time, so I had that same issue. Like my hands would cramp and get really tight on that, so I couldn't play Shovel Knight comfortably, and I would fucking die because of it. And I was like, I'm just going to wait till this thing comes to the Vita. I know it's going to come to the Vita one of these days, and I did, and it was way better. I enjoyed it. I liked that game a lot. Same thing with Hollow Knight. I was playing it on my computer. I'm like, this isn't a computer game. Like, this isn't a game I need to fucking run my fucking nice laptop or my nice PC on. It's like, I'll just wait for it to go on handheld. Now it's on Switch, and I'm going to pick it up. And because I played it for a couple hours. I really fucking liked what I played. It's just a matter of I just had to be patient. Same thing with Stardew Valley. I was like, just waiting for portable on that one. That's not a game I'm going to play on my PC. Because, like, there's games that... Sorry to cut you off. I've talked about this before. It's the weirdest description ever. But there's just games I'm like, that's a lay in fucking bed game. I'm just going to lay in bed and play that on my handheld. And those three games just all scream that to me.
I was going to say, I agree in all ways, except for the one game you and I have talked about multiple times, but for whatever reason, my PC version now is completely inferior to the Switch version, and that's Skyrim.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but sitting in bed playing Skyrim, I never thought would happen. Even though it's on everything. It's on your fucking Diet Pepsi. Like, that thing runs on everything. But when I got that for the Switch and sat down and it ran, it was like magic. And so I just really like that Nintendo showed a lot of little small games. I do wish they showed one more big game. I feel that we were missing a Metroid or something. Like it feels like something was missing.
There was
one more big
punch. Because like Smash was a huge announcement like 2 months before E3, and you're thinking like, oh damn, they just announced Pokemon. What are they going to announce at E3 then? You know, what are they going to show us? And they didn't. They just showed us what we already knew. Kind of like how Sony approached it. So that surprise factor was gone. Just Sony had announced it. So it was like, are your expectations in check? Yes or no? Whereas Nintendo didn't say that.
I wish we had seen one more big game because Ubisoft, which we'll cover in a second, did Star Fox for that flying game instead of a Star Fox Switch game, which I would have probably seen people murder each other over that. Like, they would have loved it.
Oh, dude, yeah. Anything else from Nintendo? I was like half asleep during it. Like I remember my friend had it hooked up to his laptop, which was connected to the HDMI to the TV in our hotel room, and like all of us were asleep. And what woke me up was literally all I hear is I just see my friend just hunched over his laptop like this with headphones on, and and all I hear is, "Oh, let's go!" And I'm just like, "What the fuck is that?" I just like roll over and I just see him like in a bathrobe like this, watching the fucking Smash reveal. And that's when I was like, yeah, put it on the big TV. I got to see this. And so I might have missed some announcements beforehand, but overall, Nintendo's conference, from what I had caught, wasn't
worried about that bathrobe. You wake up, your friends just huddled over in a bathrobe. Oh, let's go. You're
yeah.
I'm fucking excited.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, is he looking at Tory Black videos, or what exactly is occurring right now? Like, I don't know if I'd want to be in the same room with my best friend in a laptop.
Nah, he loves his hentai, man. Anyway,
I will say one thing they didn't. It was more just like an overview, but they had that one where they just like basically rapid fired through a bunch of titles that are coming out, and a big one for me, which was already announced, but they, based off the success of Monster Hunter World, Capcom is bringing over Double Cross to the West, and it's going to be like Generations Ultimate, but it's, you know, before World it was the most comprehensive Monster Hunter game, and for a while, people were like, you know, Capcom, fucking give this to us.
Right.
Like I know people that they went and they'd buy the Japanese version and they'd play it with like a phone translator to realize what the menus were saying. And I was like, I refuse to fucking do that. They need to give us the game. And, you know, World was a huge success with the Western market. And they're like, all right, you know what? Fuck it. Here you go. And so they're porting it, which is nice because, you know, Monster Hunter is a game that it's always been on a mobile form factor. I mean, yeah, given it started on PlayStation, but fuck that. It's a mobile game. Because, you know, it's great to go and hunt on the go with friends, and having what's arguably one of the best Monster Hunters ever on the Switch in English is huge for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my question is, and you'd know more about this, is, you know, World introduced a lot of mechanics that kept the Monster Hunter DNA, but made it, I wouldn't say accessible. It was just a lot more smooth than I'd say other Monster Hunter games I played. Yeah, that too. Does this one have those in place, or is this like an older game just being put out there and Monster Hunter fans are going to like it?
I wouldn't say it's older. I'd say this is Generations Ultimate is kind of in between World and some of the older titles, because there's styles in the game. Like, it's a lot more. It's weird to describe something this way, but it's a lot more anime than World. Like, you have different styles, like aerial styles, striker styles, guild styles, and it allows for some really flashy combinations. So mechanically, there's just as much in this game as there was in World. You're going to miss some of the accessible things, like some big things. Scout flies in World, for example. Before that, you had to hunt down monsters, hit them with a paintball to keep tracking them. You didn't just have scout flies that magically told you where something is.
Which was huge for people like me.
Yeah. So that, you know, a little bit more getting back to the roots of how you hunt monsters, and obviously, you know, you're going to have load screens between zones again, as opposed to just one whole seamless area like you have with World. But combat-wise, like there's things that are in World that won't be in Generations Ultimate, but there's things with the hunting styles that are super badass that you can't do in World.
Okay.
Like aerial stands for greatsword. You know, it's you basically turn into fucking Cloud from Final Fantasy VII with some of the shit pulling off. So there's some good stuff to look forward to.
Okay, cool. So I'll look into that for sure, because I really liked World. You know, that was like, I've never been big into the Monster Hunter genre personally, just in general, like whether it was Toukiden, God Eater, or Monster Hunter, of course. It just never gripped me. So that was the first game to grip me. So I'm more open to these types of games. So I'll definitely look into that. And yeah, let's shift over to Bethesda. A little more third-party stuff here. All right, Bethesda. Would you guys say, was this your favorite third-party conference? Yes or no? We'll start off with that, because we're covering 3 of them.
Not for me.
Okay. Not for me.
I'd probably, yeah, of course, I'd probably say it was my favorite, but that's because I got the announcements I've been looking for a good couple of years. But we'll get into that. What was the game that stood out to you most during their showcase? They announced a pretty good amount, like, you know, Wolfenstein co-op game, Doom Eternal. What else was there? Prey DLC, all free. Of course, Fallout 76, Starfield, Elder Scrolls Blades. So let's hear it, fellas.
For me, definitely Doom Eternal. I mean, I'd say with Doom, they reinvented what an FPS should be, which is ironic because they also make Wolfenstein. I think Wolfenstein kind of follows that obnoxious approach of like shoot somebody hide behind cover, and instead Doom is like in your fucking face, shotguns, explosions, fuck you, trucks and fire, and it's so much more enjoyable. So seeing that there's a new Doom game coming has me incredibly hyped because I mean the last Doom I did a drunk through of it, a first person shooter, which is like drunk throughs are usually Souls games, but Doom, it just fit the narrative so much.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there just fucking pounding down beers and exploding demons, and I had a blast. And knowing I'm going to do that with more Doom, I'm like, hell yes, let's do this.
Dope.
So, yeah.
What about you, Karak?
Sure.
Yeah, I was excited for Doom because that is fucking, I mean, such a phenomenal single-player game.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. But I was more interested in the idea of switching over and looking at co-op in Wolfenstein, because while I liked Wolfenstein, it is a little bit, as Bill said, it follows a different pattern overall. So the idea of this co-op thing changing up, I love the idea of me like firing at somebody and somebody over here doing the same thing, taking out those enemies, how they're going to handle AI, the difficulty there. So to me, when it comes to surprises wise, which I don't think Bethesda did a good job overall in surprising me, that surprised me. I don't think I knew anything about that one. Like that was one of those ones where I was like, whoa, what the fuck? That's pretty insane. Doom looked, hell on earth. Like you see the hell on earth stuff, you're just like, oh my God, that's awesome. But to me, that's more of a known quality. And so I'm pretty guaranteed to probably like that game. Yeah. But Wolfenstein was interesting, man. I was not, I just didn't know what was going on when they were showing it. And I was like, that's pretty cool. Yeah. It could be pretty cool,
no,
I should say.
I agree, because if we're talking excitement level, I'm right there with you guys, Doom. I know some people might be surprised because I'm a diehard Fallout fan, but contrary to popular belief, it's like I'm waiting and seeing on that one. I can't say I'm fully fucking excited. It's like I'm excited at a new Fallout game, and I think Bethesda's trying some new ideas that can work out pretty well, but there's just too many ifs, too many what ifs, too many, but what about this? It's just there's too many question marks surrounding this game for me to be like, I'm excited. Whereas with Doom, it's like, I know what I'm getting. I know I'm going to get something fast-paced, something just in your face, like Bill said, fucking explosions and shit. I'm about that, so I'm with you. But what I was really getting at, because I had to interrupt Karak for this, was if we're talking interest, definitely Wolfenstein. That was like, all right, Wolfenstein co-op, though? Like, that's a unique direction that I didn't expect, that I would hope for one day, but I didn't think they'd actually do it. They just keep telling BJ's story, so I was really stoked on that one, too.
And then Prey. I mean, the fact is that game didn't sell incredibly well, and there's been some questions on where it's going, and they didn't announce a new Dishonored, which would have been cool. Yeah. So, to me, Prey is sort of in that weird, I don't know why, they're not the same kind of game, but when I think of Dishonored, I think of Prey. I don't know if it's because the studio's involved or how the game plays, but I liked Prey a lot. Yeah. And so the idea of this DLC, which I heard from your patrons as well as mine, is fucking amazing.
I've heard it's roguelite done well in AAA.
Yeah, like everybody I'm talking to is all, holy shit, this is great. So to me, that's so awesome to see a company continue to support a title that didn't light the world on fire. Yeah. Because we see that all the time where companies cut and run.
Especially because they're adding like multiplayer kind of, like I think where you can play as the mimics. It was very reminiscent when I heard it, when they were describing it. I was thinking like BioShock multiplayer. I was like, this just fits the universe well and it makes sense.
We can all be cups and pretend and just sit there and wait for somebody to come in and then turn into a fucking bad guy. Yeah, man. Like, I'm so stoked for them. Bravo to them for supporting that.
And bravo to Bethesda for showing, yet again, like, we're gonna support the game that may not have done super well in sales, kind of like what they did with Death of the Outsider. Like, we're gonna support this game even though it didn't, like you said, light the world on fire. I think that's very key to getting companies to join their family. It's showing like, hey, if your game doesn't sell that well, we'll give you a second shot in a year and try a big DLC release and see how that goes and see if that really stokes some interest. I think
Bill,
that's
did you play Prey?
I did. I haven't looked at the DLC either, but
did you like it or?
I did. I went into Prey not really knowing what to expect, and I was pleasantly surprised. Like I got to to the end and definitely had some questions and was like, okay, it's. I don't think the DLC answers any of the questions I had. Like you said, it's like a roguelike. But I have heard from people that it's like you said, a roguelike but done at a AAA standard. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, Matty. I just couldn't.
No,
I couldn't
you're
remember
good,
if
dude.
you had said you played it.
You're fine. What about? We'll go to the Bethesda Game Studio section because that was kind of like everything else felt like let's just get these announcements done. Even Doom, like something big like that, they didn't come out and show big gameplay. They were just like, yeah, we're doing it, which I thought was a little disappointing. But the main part of the conference was Fallout 76 and just everything. Bethesda Game Studios roadmaps, pretty much. What are they doing now and in the future? So what do you guys generally think of Fallout 76? Because I've talked about it extensively on the channel, so please just take it away.
Bill, go for it.
I don't know. It's Fallout. Personally, so full disclosure, I feel that most Bethesda fans fall into two buckets. You have your Elder Scrolls fans and you have your Fallout fans.
Right.
People can like both, but I feel like at the end of the day, it's they're two very different narratives. One, you have this post-apocalyptic, kind of shooter setting. The other, you have this fantasy adventure, swords and magic setting. I am a much bigger fan of fantasy, swords and magic adventure. So, I play Fallout games, but they're definitely not the thing that gets me hard. So seeing 76, I was kind of like, this is interesting. Just coming off of Conan and dealing with a little bit of the PvP there, I'm like, Fallout, but kind of like Conan with the open world, and I think the thing that I liked about Fallout 4 was this narrative, this story, like going through and playing as a character and then playing like a different character and just saying, fuck the story, I'm just going to travel in this direction and, encountering new things I hadn't found. And I worry that I won't be able to get that new experience in 76 because I'll go in a direction, and instead of finding something that's cool, I got to deal with some little squeaky 11-year-old that's like, yeah, you fucking bitch, I killed you, and like taking stuff from me. And I'm going to be like, Bethesda, can I just play the fucking game without dealing with this? Like, that's what I go to Fallout for. And, like, other things, like VATS. How's VATS going to work in multiplayer?
It's real time.
Yeah.
And by the way, you won't get looted if you get killed. I'm not defending the game, I'm just saying, just so you know. It's not huge game changers. It's still online. There's still no offline mode, so...
Yeah.
It's like your complaints are still valid.
If somebody doesn't loot me, you got to assume that there is going to be some form of raid mechanic. Otherwise, what's the point of PvP?
Yeah.
If you can't take something, whether it's structure, weapon that person was carrying, armor, then there's no
resources.
Point. Yeah. Like there's something.
You get caps if you kill someone, like in the trailer.
Yeah. Well, see, now then that's even worse because instead of getting somebody's loot, then you get these people that they'll be like, oh fuck yeah, like they'll round up a bunch of newbies, build a fortress around them with automated turrets, and then literally farm them. Like fucking keep respawning, we want our caps. Yeah. I don't know. It looks interesting, but I'm not gonna get on that hype train. I'm gonna sit on the platform and wait for the train to go by and see what it looks like.
So I'll say one thing that I think is very cool, and Matty, if you want, you can verify this, but I'm pretty sure it was official, that somebody asked Todd, will you be able to ever play it single player without being connected? And he said, after release, that will at some point be possible. They are putting a single player component, and you will not need to be online.
This came up. I'd love to hear where he said that because that would probably be music to a lot of people's ears because it's been confirmed. There's no offline mode. That's all we've heard.
There isn't when it gets released, for sure. And this pisses me off more, to be honest, because why? If you're going to do it later, do it now. I think the response might have been because Forza Horizon 4 got a ton of flack. They didn't know you could play that offline until later. People asked. I think that's a big thing now. Can I still play it single player? I want to buy the game. I don't want other people fucking with my game. And, Bethesda's done well on explaining how they're thinking about doing some stuff, but it's all thinking for a game that isn't that far out. Yeah. And that disturbs me. Are you guys... Really? Because you're the developers. You're asking us,
thing.
what the fuck's happening?
We're still testing things. I'm like, aren't you supposed to be close to done? We're 5 months out.
Yeah, there's some question there on their timing or if they're being cagey. They also said something along the lines of, the worst thing I thought was they said something along the lines of, we're just going to let the community, play and sort of look at balancing that way. And I'm like, holy shit, that could be a disaster.
Yeah.
Because I won't come back. I mean, I didn't go back to Conan. It sounds like Bill likes Conan a lot, but when that first came out in early access, I played it a couple times. I'm like, I'm never fucking coming back. Yeah. So I think a lot of gamers are like that. I think that you need to front load the game, not fucking tell me like an MMO, the shit that's good will come later. I don't want to hear about your end game in a patch. I don't want to hear about your single player in a patch. I don't want to hear about your balancing later. You know, that's why the beta is going to be really important for all of us to sort of just go like, what is this fucking thing? Because there's so much mystery.
I think kind of on that note, I mean, we see that a lot in early access titles, which is a different, you know, industry beast at the moment altogether, but it kind of sounds like they're trying to take an early access approach, but with a AAA price tag, which those two don't fucking mix. If they want to release the game and say, you know, right now it's in early access, we really want your feedback, and they put it out there for $20-$30 with an emphasis on, you know, taking fan feedback really to heart in the design phase, that's fine. But for them to drop out, I'm assuming what will be $59.99 game,
yes,
and then decide they want to get fan feedback to influence balance, nah, fuck that. That's bullshit.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I know the beta is going to be available on Xbox first. I know it's for people who pre-ordered, so there's that.
And they didn't say that during that fucking event.
Yeah,
either.
That was a move I wasn't a huge fan of. I don't care about the Xbox first thing personally. I know some people got an issue with the Bethesda net exclusivity for the beta itself. Once again, I think it's just the beta. I don't see Bethesda completely avoiding Steam on this. That will be hell to pay and then some.
Oh, yeah.
Unless they're afraid of Steam reviews, they probably saw Fallout 4 and were like, yep, we want to avoid that and just put it on Bethesda net where it's her own fucking platform. Not that I support it, but you know, I think that's just for the beta. What I was getting at though is I feel like this should be an open beta. I feel this should be a beta that all players can get involved in, because then you're getting fans who just want to play. You're not getting in the people who are like, I'm going to try to grief. I'm going to try to fuck this up. I'm going to try to ruin people's experience. And so Bethesda can watch those players come in, and how will they tackle it? I mean, the sad truth, I think, with Fallout 76 that no one's really talking about is that this has probably a 70% chance of being, 76% chance, we'll actually say, of being a fucking disaster when it launches right away. Like, there's just too many unanswered questions for this game to be so close to launch. You know, how many players do we want in a server? They're not going to get it all perfect. They're not going to. Like, how are we going to avoid griefing? Like Bill said, there's going to be players who just come in and you'll be surprised they find a fucking way to ruin your experience. It's going to happen, and that'll be a problem. And patches don't get just like that. You know, there's no avoiding that whole process. It is a lengthy period of time to get out the full patch. And like Karak said, you lose me at that point. You know, people will bounce real fast, especially in a busy fall period. People will just be like, see ya. And especially as a huge Fallout fan, like, I'm concerned, will I even want to stay for this? If it, you know, just because I don't want to be really negative on it, because there are things in the game, I've talked about it extensively on the channel, I'm excited about potential role-playing mechanics being added where I can actually be someone and follow that route. I'm excited about a new world to explore. I love BGS's worlds more than probably any other video game world out there. There's a lot I'm happy about, but there's just a lot of concern also tossed in its face.
So IGN did an interview, Matty, after E3's Bethesda conference.
Okay.
And so a couple things they said for sure. There will be microtransactions of some kind, but that's most likely cosmetic.
Yeah, it's only
and
cosmetics.
Then they said there for sure will be private servers in the future as well.
Yes, that is for mods. I remember that.
And mods, yeah. So to me, you know, if they get the private server out pretty quick, I wouldn't mind it as bad because I could just set up a private server and let nobody fucking in and just play it by myself and test that. But the thing that scared me a little bit is after that event, they were asked what it was like and could you play single player all the time? And they said yes, but then during the event, if you listen, he says something along the lines of, it will be, like, you can play it single player, but it will be easier or something multiplayer. And to me, that indicates we'll have the very typical Division kind of thing where you can play it single player, but you're going to get your ass kicked at some point. Like, you're almost going to require that multiplayer component. And that's what I don't want. But, you know what? I'm open to it. I mean, it could be great. It could be a blast.
How how interesting is a single-player game, or I'm sorry, how interesting is a game like Fallout 76, which is driven, its storytelling is driven by just its audio logs, it's driven by its terminals, you know, those types of things you find. How interesting is that to play by yourself?
True.
You know, I know some people look at Borderlands, BioShock, and go, well, they told great stories through audio logs, and they did. But there was a core narrative that you were following that was like pulling you along here. If you're just with a couple of if you're just by yourself in an empty world now because there's no NPCs, and you're just going place to place exploring, in a way that could be cool, right? Because it's like the bombs just fell, you're the first people to come out and establish a presence. I don't know, but I just feel like because there isn't that main story dragging you along, like there is a main story, but I don't have high hopes for it. How will that all piece together? I'm unsure.
Yeah, I think overall, I think maybe when I was reading that single-player thing, most likely it was actually people just talking about private servers, because I'm looking, I don't see that news. So, yeah. So anyway, it'll be interesting to see. Like you said, man, if they make it one way and then they just try to force something in, is it going to be that interesting? You know, I just want more data. I'm really tired of Bethesda ball tickling everybody. As somebody told me in a prior podcast, they're like, there should be a hashtag, stop the ball tickling. And I really would agree with that. I know
Starfield and ES6.
And just, I don't want to get too heady because I know you guys you're definitely a Bethesda channel, but and I've said this to you.
Give your opinion.
Trust me,
it's way more.
It's very abusive as a relationship between their fans, and it's people joke about it, but it's like they joke because it's almost like when somebody says, "Dude, that chick is not good for you," and you're like, "Yeah, she beats me because she loves me." It's like, what the fuck? What kind of world do you live in? It's time to like give data about your games. You're asking me for $60. I don't know about anybody else. $60 is a lot of fucking money to me.
Same.
$60 is not something I just throw away. We need some data, and I just some of their shit infuriates me. And I know you know this, and I've complained about it. I like their games. That's the problem. I wish I hated them, because if I hated them all, I could just be like, I hate them and I hate their games. But instead, I'm like, I really like their games, but I fucking hate when they open their mouths.
See, yeah, for me, it's like, of course, a little bit of a different perspective because I've been speculating about Starfield, and I'm like, I've been saying it for years. I put together the trademarks, I put together the proof. I was like, this is why Bethesda Game Studios are the ones working on Starfield. They said the reason they announced it was just because people were guessing. There was a lot of rumors, and they were like, we just want to clear it up and put a roadmap out. Which, as like a hardcore fan of VGS, you know, I appreciate. I appreciate knowing what they're doing. But I agree. There is that extent of, okay, now is it an expectation of next year we hear something about Starfield? And maybe a little Fallout 76 DLC, and we're still waiting on ES6? Like, is it just the acknowledgement of, like, okay, it exists. Is that enough? Is that what Bethesda wanted to do? They've never done this before, they said. Hey, that's the thing. They fly by the seat of their pants so much. I was watching an interview, and Todd was just like, yeah, we've never done this. We don't know, like, if this is going to be a thing where we're going to come out and talk every year about all these games, or if we're just going to talk about Fallout 76 next year. They're like, yeah, we think it's too early to talk about it. And I get that because they don't want to show a game too soon, which I respect. But on the other hand, I just look at it and think to myself, like, I want to see more, and why are you announcing it if you don't plan on showing us more? Like, who knows? Starfield could just have like a Cyberpunk effect and just fall off the map for years. Completely.
True. God, I hope not.
Yeah.
Dude, that made me a little nervous. I didn't think about that. That'll really, really depress me. I mean, but you're right. Who knows what they're going to announce next year? They do switch, and that's okay. They can switch depending on what they think works and what doesn't. But I just find that it's like, look what we're working on, look what we're working on. Oh, we're telling you because there are people guessing. And it's like, do you really care about the people? I mean, is that really the reason? Because I don't think there was a lot of disinformation out there. Your videos were all right. Well, most of them were right? I mean, most of the data you knew about Starfield was that it was coming, and it was this. So how many people were wrong, and does that really require them to sort of ball?
Actually, I will say this much. I was wrong. I was wrong last year. I thought it was coming last year. I didn't say that. Yeah, I remember Lone was the one making videos like, here's why it's not coming. So Lone was right.
Gotcha.
But then I was like, if it's not this year, I was like, it's 2018, man. I was like, no doubter. And so I was right on that front. I don't think Lone had argued that one, though. But that part I remember. Because I know Lone would remind me. If I was like, yeah, I was right, but...
I'm excited for it regardless. I
yeah.
just want to know.
Yeah, no, I am too. I feel bad for Elder Scrolls fans because, like, seeing that's at the end of Bethesda's roadmap.
Yeah.
And that, oh man, like, I mean, you're just sitting there floating with ESO, ES Blades, and Legends. Like, fuck.
Blades.
Yeah, I'll say this, though. All right, Legends is a good game.
Yes.
I played a shit out of Elder Scrolls Legends.
What is it? Is that the card game?
It's their card game, but it's done really well. Because it's well, a couple points on. One, it takes influence from like both Hearthstone and Magic the Gathering, so it has a lot of mechanics that you may be familiar with if you've played Magic, stuff like Trample, stuff like Drain, stuff like Haste, but it simplifies it down into like a 2-lane setup, so it's not as just mind. Like I can't stand Hearthstone, and I'm a huge Blizzard fanboy. I think Hearthstone is like mindlessly easy with the single lane. There's a double lane system going on. There's the rune system, which helps to counteract aggro. The lore is obviously there, so the lore and the card art and all that is amazing. Like, cool. I have tons and tons of hours in that. And probably the best thing, the form, like, it is the best goddamn mobile phone game I've ever played. Yeah. Anytime you get one of those bad poops, you're just like, put it in.
You got to put in your poop time.
Yeah. There's tons of free shit too. I mean, they give Twitch drops, they have daily logins. Like, you can easily master the game from a free-to-play perspective as well, which I think is really big.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I played a decent amount of it. I liked it too. I just look at it as like, people are probably like, Skyrim was in 2011. When's the next major ES release? And it's like, fuck, you're when we look at the timeline. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, we're looking 2020s, maybe even mid, like 2023 or 4.
Yeah. Easy, because I'm assuming Starfield, unless they were going to show more, you're talking 2020.
I think so too. They said it's playable. Right? They said it's playable.
Well, okay.
And when I heard that, I was like, and they said it's fun, and I was like, fuck, like, that's something you could show off. It's confusing. Like, if it's all there, it's a sci-fi game. You don't know the scope of it, right? Like, you don't know like if they're the trademarks that ended up being true now were all including multiplayer stuff, tournaments, online profiles, that type of shit. Yeah, and so I was looking at that, thinking to myself, this could be a lot bigger and more different, where it might be like playable, but it might be a ways off still.
Okay, gotcha.
So we'll see. Any final thoughts on Bethesda?
I have a question for both of you. Were you a little depressed by the graphics in Fallout 76?
I'm not a graphics guy. I'm more of an art style guy, I've noticed. Yeah. Like, if graphics don't change, I don't get upset, but art style is something that, I really get behind. Like, that's why I love Arc System games. That's why Hollow Knight's one. I'm like, I love the art style here, or in the Blind Forest. But, like, when graphics don't change, I'm like, yeah, this is Fallout. This is the world. Whatever. It's kind of cartoony looking in a really weird way. Don't know how to describe it. I think it's just the vibrant colors, despite like this despair universe. But that's just my answer. And Bill, how about you?
I mean, I wasn't really going into it expecting all that much to begin with, so okay. I mean, I thought it looked okay. I do think that there were parts in the trailer, at least, that it seemed like there were frame dips, and I don't know if it was just the source I was watching it from, or if there are actual frame dips in the footage they're trying to show the game off with, because that's kind of like at least get your shit straight before you show it to us type thing. But I mean, I'm like I said, I don't have the biggest amount of excitement for it to begin with. So
okay,
fair enough.
Next on the list is Ubisoft. I actually missed their conference entirely because I was out at a meeting, so I wasn't able to see it. I went to their showcase afterwards, and so I saw, or not their showcase, their demo area. So I saw Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and I saw The Division 2. But outside of that, they had Starlink there. They had Trials of some kind there.
Yeah.
I forgot what else they had there. Wait. What did you guys think of Ubisoft in general?
They knocked it out of the park for me. I mean, if nothing else, just for the fact that the For Honor stuff, like... all right, so I want to say this. I think that you go back about 3 years, and I think Ubi was one of those companies that a lot of people had a general distaste for. There was kind of agreement that a lot of the stuff Ubisoft put out, it was just more the same shit. There wasn't anything innovative about what they were doing. And I think they've really turned it around. Like, You know, they've gone from being a very, I'd say, below average game company to one that people actually are kind of like, you know, Ubisoft's doing some good shit now.
Yeah.
And, you know, you look at the turnaround they had with Siege. I didn't play The Division after launch, but I've heard that there was a massive turnaround with that. And for me, at least, For Honor, dude, I had the biggest fucking erection over For Honor when it came out. I was constantly playing that game, and I eventually just got burnt out because of, you know, lack of servers, lack of balance, etc. And then, you know, now, dude, I play, like, as soon as I'm done this podcast, I'm actually going, I'm picking up a keg, and then I'm playing For Honor for like 8 fucking hours while getting wasted. Because it's so much goddamn fun now with, like, the balance and the dedicated servers and all that shit. So, and the other thing is, I'm a huge fucking Dynasty Warriors nerd, and seeing them basically...
I didn't know that.
Dude, oh god, I grew up
to
playing
me.
that shit. Yeah, and they're bringing Chinese warriors into For Honor. So seeing what's basically Wan Yu show up on the screen,
I was gonna say.
like, I was out getting lunch, and I was like, hold the fuck up. Ran outside of the bar. People think I'm like running out of my tab or something, and I'm just sitting outside like, there's no fucking way. I was going off.
That's dope. I gotta look into that.
Yeah, I mean, on top of that, a lot of, like, I will say, Assassin's Creed, I really like what they're doing with it. I think many people felt that franchise had kind of gotten stale. I think that Origins was a really nice way to mix up the combat, like completely redid it. And then kind of seeing them take this RPG approach with Odyssey, I'm excited to see where it goes.
Okay.
My only complaint is, from what we've seen, I don't think it should be an Assassin's Creed game. I think they could have just named it Odyssey. And I feel like the AC tag was kind of slapped on there to help make sales. It looks like it's going to be an awesome game, but I don't see a link to the Assassin, what we expect, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of the same when, like, Capcom put out the new Resident Evil. I forget what it was. Was it 7?
7, yeah, with the VR, yeah.
Yeah, they could have just called it, like, Biohazard, and I would have played it. It was a fucking phenomenal game. And, like, obviously at the very end, you had the tie-in to Umbrella, and you're like, oh, I guess it is a Resident Evil game. But that wasn't even needed, man. Like, the game would have sold great on its own, and I feel that Odyssey could do the same.
Okay. Yeah. I when it came to Ubisoft, their most standout for me was Odyssey. I played it for about an hour.
Cool.
And
Jesus,
I mean,
awesome.
Holy shit, bro. I will say that was, like, arguably outside of Cyberpunk, like, my game of the show. I really liked what I played.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm an RPG sucker. I think everyone on the channel who listens to this show knows that. So seeing in a series that I've had that love-hate relationship with, where I'm like, I want this series on track.
Yeah.
I want them to do something new. They're doing something new. So for me, I get what Bill's saying. Like, yeah, there were, like, stealth takedowns. There was the Assassin's Creed mechanics, but was there the actual Creed there? I didn't see anything like that. No. So and it takes place after Origins, so it's a matter of how the story ties you into the Creed, I guess. We'll see if that even happens. I'd imagine with the Assassin's Creed name it does. But yeah, it definitely loses a bit of identity, but I think it's a good choice. This is kind of the DNA shakeup it needed, because it's even Origins in a way. It was a good game, but there was this late game downfall as it fell into a tried and true, this feels the same. This feels the same. This feels the same. You know, the side quest where either go to a base or follow this guy. Right. Same thing with the main story. It just became that constantly, and it was like, okay, I've had enough. I don't want to play this anymore. Where the first 20 hours, I was like, this is awesome. Like, Karak, you remember that? Like, first 20 hours you and I were DMing, we're like, dude, oh my god, fucking love this game. And then after that, put out my impressions, and then, yeah, I'm like, I'm going to finish the game. I'll give you guys my full review later. And, like, a couple weeks later, I post a review, and I'm like, yeah, it's not as good as I thought it was. Or could have been.
I will say this. This is a little bit of lore speculation, but given the time that Odyssey takes place in, and the fact that it has a focus in Rome and Greece, and we kind of saw the basis for the Templars and Origins come from that area, I think we may be taking an AC rogue approach where we.
I hope so, because that's one of my favorite AC games. Sorry for interrupting.
I think that might be, because it would make sense. Because if you think about it, Origins was fucking origin of the Assassins.
Yeah,
if we're not playing as the Assassins,
origin of the Templars.
The Templars.
Yeah, dude, I explode myself. Are you done, Maddie? So I can give my impressions
go
of
for
Ubisoft?
It, bro. Yeah.
So first of all, hats off to the fucking dancing panda. That may sound like a joke, but that motherfucker grooved it for like 10 minutes in a furry outfit. And I don't know if they died afterwards, But they just kept dancing. We were sitting there laughing in Discord going, he's still fucking dancing, dude. That was hilarious. But typical Ubisoft weirdness that you always get in their events. It doesn't matter if Aisha Taylor's doing it or if these guys are doing it. But I'm a sucker for that fucking spaceship game. The little build your spaceship game that they showed Star Fox for. Starlink, I think is what that's called. I was stoked for that. And then I'm not stoked for the crew. I'm going to be honest. The crew too. Like some of their stuff. But you have to, as Bill said, they're a company that I think is starting to prove that games as a service can technically work, and they're doing a fantastic job with support. Like Bravo, outside of any of the games that they even showed. I mean, For Honor, they showed a ton of support for that. They're just really good at that kind of thing. The only thing I would say is dedicated servers needed to be in For Honor day one. Yeah. And I'm a little pissed that we're getting another company that's like, well, we're going to add some of the stuff that I think as a gamer I would look at and go, why is that not in there right now? That's the only problem I had with anything Ubisoft has done or said. I thought their conference was a fucking blast. It was hilarious. It was goofy. Beyond Good and Evil momentarily looked fantastic because I'm a huge fan of Beyond Good and Evil 1. So number 2 looked like it might be interesting. But yeah, overall, man, I think they were the best conference when it comes to third parties.
Cool.
Like they just nailed it for me.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, man, Odyssey. I played Division 2 as well. That was like one.
Oh
mission.
Yeah, what'd you think? Don't you depress me?
No. It wasn't bad. It was just like a very small sliver. Like I didn't get to play enough. I remember when I went to an event for the Division 1 and like you played for 3 hours and it was like, okay, I know what this game is. With this one, it's more of the Division. I love the setting of DC. Fucking awesome, especially as someone who's one of their favorite games of all time, Fallout 3, man. Like, yeah, you got me, all right? Like, I'm definitely going to play this just because of the setting. It's post-apocalyptic. Like, I'm hooked. But I played as a new class, like a demolitionist, and I get, like, this special weapon. So I took out, like, a grenade launcher, and I thought it'd be limited, but, I really blew some shit up. Like, I destroyed, like, fucking 5 enemies at once with one grenade, and they were, like, high-level enemies. So the bullet sponging isn't there as much. And when you do face a bullet sponging enemy, he comes out in literal, like, he's a fucking walking tank. Where you're like, okay he can take a lot of shots. It makes sense. It's not like I'm shooting a normal human, and just because he's a special person, he'll take 40 shots. So I'm not guaranteeing that it's going to be like this at the final product, but yeah, enemies were dropping pretty quickly. It was kind of the same thing. Loot was dropping everywhere.
I got to ask 2 questions of you. Graphically, was it as good as the trailer showed? And also, did anybody else shit themselves when that person dropped that homing trailer in the water, or mine in the water in the trailer? Did you guys see that?
I didn't see the trailer.
They drop a mine. It's a homing mine. They drop it in the water, and it fucking jets off like a surfboard. And it was one of the coolest looking effects I've seen in like a gameplay. Yeah, it like jumped across, it skipped, and then it blows up in front of everybody. And we were just like, that's so fucking cool. Because I love the kinetic. It doesn't like need to do much. I just sometimes when it looks that visceral. But was that equal? So
yes. Very pretty.
It was good. Okay.
Very pretty. Very colorful too. That's something I noticed with both those games when I sat down to play them. Color palette was on display. With Origins, you kind of got that as well. Once you got into some of the later game areas, but with both Odyssey and Division 2, I mean, supremely colorful, pretty to look at games.
Frame rate?
No issues. Actually, sorry. Game crash for me, game crash for Connor when we were playing Division 2.
What system were you playing on?
PC
or Xbox?
Yeah, dev builds on PC.
Yeah, let's hope.
Just a little heads up for those.
I crashed the entire stream of Division 1 on the consoles when we went to play it at PAX, so you can crash a console too.
Yep. There you go. Any last thoughts on Ubisoft?
Anybody else like Starlink? I was just going to ask.
Oh, Starlink, yeah, that was one.
I mean, I think it looks cool. Like if I had a son that was young, I mean, I don't know, the whole idea of like buying the parts and building a ship, it's really cool. But I feel like it's either. I feel like there's 2 big demographics here. One is kids because you get that building stuff, and the other are guys our age where it's like, yeah, I got $100 says my spaceship's better than you.
Right, buying yourself into success.
Yeah, it kind of worries me a little bit, but the concept looks cool.
Okay.
But the only other point I want to make, we were talking about how games as a service and support, and I know I've already gushed about For Honor tons, but
Go for it.
as far as I know, For Honor it's the first time we've seen a title make a reappearance at E3. Like, actually with like a big floor presence. You don't see that a lot. Like, I don't think you ever see that. Like, can you think of another title where, like, a year after it had come out, they brought it back to E3 and said, look at what we're doing with this still? Aside from, like, fucking, like, Final Fantasy 14, which is like an MMO.
Yeah, like, it was, like, heavy online games.
Like, you don't see that.
No, because usually they do it in, like, a patch, like The Division or Siege, where it just gains steam on its own. It's almost like earned marketing. Whereas...
to see them bring it back, I was like...
On the big stage. Pretty good surprise.
Who's your favorite fighter in For Honor? Like, what?
Douglas! I mean, yeah, I all Vikings. If I have to do Knight, I'm playing Centurion. If I have to do Weebs, I'm playing Aramusha. Otherwise, it's Vikings in the order of Highlander, Berserker, Raider, Warlord,
Cool.
Shaman, Valkyrie.
Dope. The last one is Square Enix, and man, what a lengthy showcase that was. At 32 minutes long, they beat Bethesda.
This is where you gotta put in the if you have like a I don't know, I have a soundboard, like it's a string deck, but this is where you should put in the price
Sound effect.
The Price is Right horn.
Yeah.
That you can pretty much just do it, and now on the Square Enix and play that sound effect and kill the podcast, because that basically describes how disappointing it was.
Yeah, man. I mean, I was flabbergasted at how short it was. It was on the same level of Bethesda's E3 2017 one, where I was like, that was it. Especially because I thought, you know, if you're doing your first ever conference, you're probably watching a lot of people, you know what to do. I'm thinking like, all right, Kingdom Hearts 3, that's their big game, and I'm fucking stoked for this game, man. I cannot wait for Kingdom Hearts 3. Kingdom Hearts 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. Like, both that, I was talking about Fallout 3 as well. Like, they're in my top 3, both these games. So, like, I'm thinking, all right, they're going to show a bunch of trailers and a nice, extensive gameplay preview of Kingdom Hearts 3. And it's like, they're just rolling trailer after trailer. I'm like, maybe we're going to see a little tease of Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm like, nope, that's dead and gone. They show Dragon Quest extensively, which I'm not against. Like, I love JRPGs. You know, contrary to someone who makes a channel based off of Western RPGs, I probably played almost as much JRPGs. So that was like okay, but the only announcement there that I was like, "Fuck yeah!" was Babylon by Platinum Games. I forgot the full name of it. There was a Platinum Games announcement that I was like, "Fuck yes." So that was about all I could take away from it. If any of you guys want to fire away.
I mean, I don't know. I kind of already expressed my disappointment. I guess the big thing for me is, you know, these conferences are a chance to show your stuff. It's to show what is coming up. And not only that, but like think about from a monetary perspective, the cost to rent out these facilities and get people in and all that. It's got to be, you know, I would guess that on average you're looking at $100,000 minimum per conference. And all they fucking did was show trailers. Like, there wasn't any, you know, let's talk about what we have coming to you. And it's like, y'all could have put that shit on fucking YouTube and just made ad revenue from it instead of fucking spending $100,000 and showing it to people like it was a goddamn movie. Yeah. It just seems like a massive misstep, especially because Square Enix hasn't done a conference in so long. And like you said, they had some big dick hitters they could have come in with. Like, people would have lost their shit if they just like waited till the end and then suddenly pulled up Final Fantasy VII Remake and showed us like actual gameplay, like the guy sitting there with the controller actively doing it. People would have lost their minds. If they did the same thing with Kingdom Hearts 3, people would have lost their minds. And instead we got trailers. And it just feels like a huge mistake.
Yeah. Did they do Hitman? Is that Hitman? Did they sell Hitman or did they buy Hitman? I keep forgetting. Is it Square Enix?
It is Square Enix.
So they also wasted the Hitman announcement prior to E3, which I find to be shocking when you consider how good that game was and how enjoyable just overall it was. I was really shocked at how terrible the presentation was and the fact we got nothing during the event. It was a loss, I think, all the way around. What a waste.
The name of the game, by the way, is Babylon's Fall. what's
I don't
interesting
even
is that
remember that.
yeah, it was just like a quick trailer. You see like a picture of a very big, almost castle-looking structure, and then you see like four what looks like class archetypes. Like you see what looks like a wizard, a crusader, some kind, an elf,
Shit!
and they're all
Okay,
just
yeah.
like just their shadow. And I'm just like, dude, this could be awesome. Like that screams to me like co-op, and if it's a platinum game. You know, they tried doing co-op with Ninja Turtles. It fucking sucked because Ninja Turtles was just a bad game. But I mean, this is a company that has a chance to start churning out some good shit. Like we're talking, we just had Nier, which is awesome. And granted, this is in connection with Yoko Taro, who's a very smart man in many ways. And then we have after that Bayonetta 3. We also have Babylon's Fall, which could be awesome. Like, dude, Platinum's on their shit right now.
This looks cool. It's kind of. I'm watching the trailer now. This kind of gives me a bit of a Gauntlet Legends type feel.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a Gauntlet Legends, I'll kill somebody. That's one of my favorite games of all time. I think I own every Dreamcast Gauntlet game there is. Because like a Gauntlet is awesome. That's what I saw when they were showing the Shadow of the Wizard and stuff. I was like, oh man, Wizard's about to die, bitches.
Yeah, bro.
Can't wait.
It looks fucking awesome. But
I was so burned by Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, though, to be honest, Matty, that when Platinum Games is mentioned, I don't mean to be a dick, but when they're mentioned, I don't feel the same way as I think a lot of other people do.
I mean, would be the same way if it weren't for Nier.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's true, because Nier's
I
fucking
love
God
Nier
tier,
Automata to
Automata
no
was a
end.
masterpiece.
I fucking love that
was
game.
The music, the score from that game. Oh my god!
This cannot continue. This cannot continue.
It's so
and then
good.
they're releasing that. That's one thing I forgot to mention during the Microsoft
Xbox.
section. Yeah, they're releasing it on Xbox finally, which is huge. So if you're an Xbox fan, you never played Nier, you listen to this, dude, you gotta fucking buy it.
Nier
It's
was
like
the
a no doubter.
Nier was the first time I've ever had a PR person who wasn't involved with the game email me when he was seeing me. I was posting GIFs of it because we were allowed to post like small videos. And he DM'd me on Twitter and he's like, "Is that real? Like, does it look that good?" And I'm like, "Dude, that's like the shit GIF that I have of all of these that I have. Like, it is. It wasn't necessarily the most beautiful game. It was the fact that when shit went to town in that game, it felt so fluid and just so fun, and it looked so good in those momentary battle times. It was just." Fuck, man. Yeah. I mean, the amusement park, I'm going to remember all that shit for years.
Yeah, amusement
like, that'll
park
be stuck in my brain.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I still
fighting
think about that
marionette chick and at the end of that. It was just so
and then doing
many
that on the second playthrough and like getting more of her backstory. I was like, oh my god, this is fucking ridiculous.
Remember when people were like, this game is only 5 hours long? Like, bitch,
I'm like,
what are you doing?
Yeah, put a little more time into it because I put like 60 hours into this shit.
It tells you it's not the end.
Yeah.
It fucking tells you right there. It's like, how the fuck did you do that?
You just wonder how many people review by like playing a couple hours and then going by word of mouth and being like, yeah, it kind of ends, but
yeah, right.
Anyway, that's all we have for Square.
We have EA too, though, right?
Oh, God. Can we just not? Can we just not?
Let's talk about shoutcasters and how amazing mobile games are on an E3 stage.
Oh my god,
Nobody?
bro! I'd rather. I forgot about them. That's how irrelevant.
I know.
They are.
I heard you say it was the last one, and I'm like, you forgot the Great Demon.
I mean, if you guys want to spitball on them, be my guest. But I'll sit out on that one because I'm just like I saw Battlefront DLC. Okay.
We discussed it a little bit. Well, all right, I'll say this: the EA original,
Premier Originals.
Yeah, what is it?
Origin Access.
The names escape me of the title right now.
The game.
You know which one I'm talking about? It's like almost like cell shaded type, and it's like the whole like when we become lonely, we become monsters.
You mean it looked like an old cartoon, like the old Wizards cartoon? It was not Abandoned. It was for fuck's sakes.
Sea of Solitude.
Yes. Oh, the other one. Yeah, Sea of Solitude looked awesome.
Yeah, that looks good. What the fuck is that? God damn. They just attacked me. Sea of Solitude looked good. Aside from that, the only other big thing I think was obviously Anthem, and we were discussing this a little bit before we started the podcast, but we're seeing a lot of the same fucking promises we saw with Battlefront 2. We're seeing a lot of very narrowly focused gameplay on play with our friends. Destiny and Monster Hunter had a baby, and you can play with your friends, and a lot of over the top. Like the whole I like the idea of moves comboing together, But like that whole screen where she's like, combo, 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 combo. Like, I don't need to see 1,000 fucking combos on my screen. You could have done it twice and that would have been enough. And the other big thing is this is not what BioWare is known for. And, I'm fine with people going out of their comfort zone. Take a look at FromSoft. Sekiro is not what we're used to with FromSoft, but I fully expect that to be a AAA Game of the Year contender, just based on From's track record. BioWare, though, their more recent track record, especially since the acquisition by EA, has been a slippery slope that's kind of covered in shit. And I feel like Anthem might be waiting at the bottom of that slope, so we'll find out.
Dude, I talked about how like I remember I went out to dinner while I was at E3 with a couple of YouTubers, and Jackson or JB2017 was there, and he was telling me about Anthem, and he was like, yeah, it's actually like really good. And I'm sitting there like, dude, I just can't get behind it. I was like, I love old BioWare, and it's not hindering me from being critical, but I just look at it and I'm like, no, I just don't want any part in this at all.
No.
I'm okay with them switching it up, and I'm not saying you guys aren't. I'm okay with that, but I will say what I saw in a trailer looked terrible. We talked about this, as Bill said prior, and then hearing from people who played it, there were people who were like, this plays way better than it shows. The fact is, though, we've seen it. I enjoyed some small amount of time, or an okay amount of time with Destiny 2, for example. Like, I enjoyed killing some bad guys in it. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like Anthem is going to offer me anything more than that. And I don't want to hold BioWare to the uncomfortable fact that they're not BioWare anymore. They're not. The BioWare that we see now isn't. They're not even the same company. They're different, completely different people. But at the same time, they sometimes try to tell you they are. And they're not telling us very well. It doesn't matter if it's Inquisition or Andromeda. They're not doing a great job of even selling us on it. And it's just a very odd situation right now, where we're looking at this. It feels like Destiny did well, number one did well, and that's all BioWare and EA were doing, was looking at what went well. And now we have Iron Man Destiny, because that's what it looked like, was Iron Man flying around.
Yeah.
And then did you guys hear the thing where they're like, we don't have romances in the game, but we may? And I was all, what the fuck would you... I don't want to fuck in a shooter like that. Who the fuck cares? What are you talking about? Bang, 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 bang. Like, it makes no fucking sense. Why would you ever put that in a game? And they're like,
it's almost like they're trying to appease the fans, or they think they're appeasing to fans like us.
Exactly what they're doing, yeah.
That is exactly what they're doing. And that's the worst way a developer can make a game, is by just kowtowing to everybody. Yeah. Like, do what you want. You don't need people fucking in your game if it's a shooter like that. It doesn't.
Especially because like BioWare is one of the few companies who's done romance really well.
Yeah. Very few companies.
Yes, and then you can see even they are like starting to shoehorn it, and it's like, fuck,
Tetris now with sex. Yeah. And you're like, all right, what the fuck ever. Yeah, it's sad, man. I don't know about you guys, but I thought the EA's it was tone deaf to the point of Phil was saying that like prior we're looking at Ubisoft and we were worried they were going down that route. Activision fully down that route, as Matty will back up, and then it looks like EA is also completely in that route as well, where it's just that microtransaction. I mean, did you hear them? There's no microtransactions in this game, but FIFA came up, that shit died. They didn't say a single word about no microtransactions. FIFA is built on it. And Madden coming out on the PC, that's great for people who like sports games. That's awesome. But I don't want to unzip a fucking pack of cards for $1.99. Like, it doesn't make any sense. That kind of shit needs to go.
I will say I've really enjoyed watching them go on stage and try to hype up FIFA to an E3 crowd. And he was like, as of today, you can get on in it. And it fucking crickets. Everyone's looking at him like, nobody here fucking cares, dude.
Wrong audience, right? Wrong audience.
Such a good moment.
They just have like this interesting issue that no other one has, because their most popular games are their sports games, which they have to talk about. And it's technically their front lines. But yet, at the same time, they know the audience there is like, let's see Anthem. Let's see the new Star Wars game, Fallen Order, whatever the fuck it's called. That's interesting. Mind you, where it's taking place in the Star Wars universe. it's like I don't feel bad for them, but I almost like get why they have to do it, but it's
For
like,
sure.
you know, I feel FIFA's going to sell either way.
It was also a very uncomfortable conference. I think the host did fine. They tried to be organic in their comments, but that Star Wars discussion in the front row was one of the most painful, because wasn't that the one where she sits down and
I
she's
didn't
like,
watch it.
dude,
I was on a plane. That's how
You
little I
need to.
fucking cared.
no.
I was like, I'm not
Trust me.
even scheduling around it.
Trust me, you need to go watch it. It is that bad. I would love for you to go and check out the Star Wars reveal. It's two people pretending that they just bumped into each other. It almost makes me embarrassed to talk about. It's so bad. But yeah, you need to check it out. I mean, I can diss on them all I want, but they've got a couple games I like. A couple. So we'll see. It'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I don't think it will be.
All right. Well, then that concludes the EA section. Enough of that bullshit. And
what about I think one thing would be fun. So to wrap up, then we've talked to everyone. Top 3 games.
oof.
Go.
I got my top 3. I can go first. You want to
Take it
go
away.
first, Bill? Or you want? Okay.
No, take it away.
Man-Eater, without a shadow of a doubt, is my #1 game
Oh
of
my
the show.
God.
That's a shark RPG, single player. And here's the thing: when they were announcing this during the PC conference, no one could believe them. And then they're like, "You can buy bigger jaws. You can blah blah blah." And they showed some graphics from it. I'm like, "That shit's." The reason why I think it's one of my top games of the show is surprise. I'm never surprised at these events, and it's such a disappointment usually. I think the PC Gamer Show did a great job too. It was very laid back, but pretty professional. So Maneater, #1, Forza. The reason why I think Forza Horizon is a game for me of the show is simply because it was gameplay. They were showing it. There was no trailer bullshit that you had to deal with where you were like,
Okay.
is it real? And what have you. And then the last one, Spider-Man, without even hesitation. Like, those 3 wowed me for completely different reasons. But Spider-Man and Forza, because they showed something tangible. And it showed what I think we'll be playing, which I think is a bonus for any E3 event.
Okay. What
I
about
will
you?
say, I just watched a trailer for Maneater, and that does look
Told you, dude.
it looks very appealing. I could definitely
Doesn't
get
it?
down on just eating people as a shark.
Yeah.
I mean, mine's pretty obvious based on earlier Neo. Seeing like we barely know anything, but knowing that there's Neo is one of my all-time favorite games. So
Wow.
and another thing I didn't mention this earlier, but in the dev interview, I think the thing that got me most hyped is the dev said that, and this is like a rough quote, but they basically said that with Neo 1, it was unfamiliar territory, and they weren't really sure what they were doing and how much they wanted to do. But now that they have done it and they're comfortable with it, this time the gloves are off.
Oh.
And hearing that come from the devs, I'm like, let's fucking go. #2, probably Sekiro, just because I'm a huge FromSoft nerd and I really want to see what they're going. I want to see what they do out of that Soulsborne element. I mean, they've obviously done I feel like they've become kind of synonymous with Souls. But I mean, my favorite From Software game is their fucking Armored Core. I loved Armored Core, and I was hoping we'd get one announced, but we didn't.
Me too.
Close. I heard.
yeah.
I heard it's nearby. Like I was listening to some news bit, and they talked about. I think they did an interview with someone from FromSoft, and they were like, they didn't directly say like, yeah, it's coming, but they said, I think they said the VR game wasn't. They had 3 upcoming games, and the VR game wasn't one of them. As in, they're still working on something else.
Yeah, and we got what is it called? Japanese game show coming up. So
Okay.
they might be keeping in their back pocket for that, because the Armored Core. I mean, the mecha. Just whole schema, the whole mechs and fighting, that's huge in Japan. I mean, they fucking built a Gundam, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Like, people love that shit, so they might be saving it for Tokyo Game Show. And then my third is, honestly, even though it's not a new game, man, that For Honor update, it's fucking Dynasty Warriors and For Honor. How can you not be hyped for that? Like, I'm just, oh man. Especially some of the executions, dude. There's one, the guy with the bow staff, he hits the guy, hits him in the chin, knocks it back down, spins the staff, puts it under the guy's legs, rips it up so it hits the guy right in the fucking dick, and the guy falls forward and falls to the ground, and then he pulls out the staff, flips it over his shoulder, and goes boom, and fucking splats the character's head. Like, the shit explodes Mortal Kombat fatality style. And I'm like, holy shit, Ubisoft.
That's awesome.
Like,
Good stuff.
yeah, it's going to be spicy.
For me, see, it's interesting because if we're talking like reveals, you know, what we didn't know going in, that's the list I'm going to go with. I'd say, because like the stuff I'm really excited for, I already knew about going in. But I'd say it starts off with probably because I went to Namco Bandai's booth, and one game that really impressed me, and I'm a huge fan of the show, My Heroes One Justice. I love My Hero Academy. It's so fucking good, and they're making a game based off of it. And I was really concerned, not really concerned, but cautiously optimistic rather. My friends were really concerned about what they had saw, and I was like, no, this game's gonna be good. I was like, I said, My Hero Academy, way too popular to fuck this up. Like, they're gonna get it right. They had it playable on the show floor. I played like 10 fucking matches with my friend. It's a good ass fighting game. It's true to the art style.
That's good to hear.
They have like current characters, like Dobby, or I'm saying his name wrong, but they have like characters who are already in the end of season 3 in the game, and they're going to reveal more down the line. I just think it's awesome how current the game feels too. It was a really fun time, and the combos, the way everything connects, really excited as a Hero Academy fan. Then Spider-Man for sure. Spider-Man, I am a huge fan of. He's like the reason I got into comics. I've watched all the movies. I fucking dressed up for him as Halloween. I love Spider-Man. Grew up with him. Yeah. Right. I am obsessed with this guy. So, Spider-Man game, despite my concerns with the open world activity, seeing more of that, I was like, I'm ready. Like, September can't come soon enough. And that's all I'm going to be playing once it comes out, for sure. And this isn't going in a chronological order, by the way. This one, I'd say as well on this list would be, I forgot to mention this during the Nintendo section, but it's one game that I'm really looking forward to. It had a 3-hour demo released on the Nintendo Store. Octopath looks fucking good. I love sprite-based RPGs, just it tickles my nostalgia. And this has like modern tech tossed into it, so you see like particle effects. You see like the backdrops are hand-drawn, or maybe not hand-drawn, but they're it's like modern tech's implemented into what we grew up with, and it's like, this is cool. And the way you pick your character at the beginning of the game, and they have path action, so you can steal from someone, or you could provoke someone into a fight. The way you can interact with the world is unlike any other JRPG. And I think that's huge, because JRPGs are, while I love them, they're very tried and true. Like, okay, let's get these types of voice actors, let's get this type of good versus evil plot, and let's have them have this action battle system, boom. But this is kind of like more of a Final Fantasy Tactics kind of battle system, but it has a boost mode, so you can hit like 5 consecutive times in a row if you save up your boost meter. Like I said, the path action, so the way you interact with the world, if you get caught stealing, you'll piss people off. You have a reputation system. It's a huge step forward for JRPGs, I feel, and it's not getting enough attention. It comes out, and it's coming out July 13th. That is definitely like one I am fucking huge on, especially because I got to play it. So, a little bit of an unorthodox list. It wasn't like anything really blew my socks out this E3. I mean, I was hyped about Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6, but like we didn't see the games, of course. So, based off what we know and what we have, those are my top 3 for sure.
It's good to hear that about Hero Academia, though, because like I like Bandai, I like a lot of what they make, but some of the stuff, like, sorry Bandai, but you guys put out a lot of anime shovel trash.
Yeah.
Like they sent me the 7 Deadly Sins game, and
my friend hates that game.
It was probably one of the biggest heaps of shit I've ever had to experience. It was like, you had quests that were literal fetch quests. You played as the chick from the game and ran around this little map picking berries, and after 7 berries you got a good job completion screen. I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Who is this designed for? What the fuck is this? How is this a full price game?
Yep. I've heard really bad things about it, so I feel you on that. So yeah, Hero Academy, it's like a 3D arena fighting game, sort of in the vein of Ninja Storm, but I think a little bit more, almost as slick. You know, the It's a little more accessible, I'd say. It's just like a light attack, a heavy attack, and then you got a set of powers. I think there's ultimate attack, and then there's like different abilities you can select.
Yeah.
You can tag people in, not to like swap with them, but you can do support attacks. So that's kind of where the ultimate ninja stuff comes into play. And then yeah, you can like tag them together for like really big combos. So I loved what I played, and I was going in a little like cautiously optimistic, like all right, I love Hero Academy, but is this a good game? And like the stages were current with the show. I mean, it's like it's gonna be good because it's gonna feel fresh.
Yeah, that's how I am with I like Jump Force. I had a lot of people like, oh my god, just fucking Jump Force! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! And I'm like, guys, this isn't like we have had jump battle games before. I had J-Star's Victory Versus was the same shit. And like, yeah, I mean, and the thing I think a lot of people they forget with anime crossovers is, yeah, man, this is a game it's playing to your nostalgia. They're like, will you play it? Yeah, you'll probably love it because you're getting to play fucking Gintama and you're fighting Goku. But at the end of the day, they're usually not that good. So that's my
like the city of Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
that's how I felt, and that's how I played Jump Force, and that was one I was like, Jump Force can be good, but it was like very clunky. The fighting in general was clunky, but also I hate in fighting games when you get like knocked down and you don't just have like a quick recovery button. Your character just kind of lays there and there's like a timer and then you get up and like the fight resumes. It's like that just it breaks the flow. It doesn't feel like you're playing as this fucking amazing badass from this manga or this anime. Just I hate it. And this game has it
because it wants to make the other person feel like a badass for making you lay down on the floor for 3 seconds.
I guess, but I can't stand that. I just like being able to quick recover, hop up, get back in the fight.
It's good. It's good to hear that about Hero Academia, though, especially because that show. I think that's another big thing is that they're keeping current. Because I know like the new Attack on Titan game came out, and I like the first one. The second one had some improvements, but like 75% of it was shit we already knew, and like
exactly why I didn't like it that much.
The anime's not out there, but like the fucking manga's there. The material is there. If they wanted to go more in depth into the Attack on Titan series, they could have.
But they just stuck with the show.
Yeah, but they stuck with the show. So knowing they're going ahead of keeping up with what they should for My Hero, that's good to see.
Yeah, I mean I won't spoil what, but I'm forgetting her name right now. Toga, she's the girl with the needles.
Yeah.
I won't spoil what just for people who watch and whatnot, but she like you find out what her quirk is, and I was like, so it's like that far ahead. Like they drew from future material, and when I saw it, I was like, oh fuck, like this is gonna be, like when the show tackles this, I'm like, this is gonna be fucking awesome. But that is it, man. That is all I've got.
No.
Anyone else?
No, you don't. You have to tell us what you thought of Cyberpunk.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Wow.
Dude,
yeah. How did we all forget about that?
Did you forget about that? Come on.
Come
on, Matty.
I've talked about it so much.
No. Spill the news here.
All right.
Most important place.
Yeah. So, saw about an hour plus of Cyberpunk 2077. I was... Okay, like, as you guys can relate, as someone who plays a lot of video games and critiques them, you almost rate games in a way based off how well you remember them. You're like, this was a memorable experience. This stuck with me. And when you play so much, there's so much input. It's a lot for you to just walk away and be speechless, and not in a bad way. Usually, I feel we find ourselves speechless in a very bad way. I left this demo, and me and my friend Vinny, we saw it together, and we were just like, we were just like, what the fuck? It left me speechless. And I'm trying not to be hyperbolic because I'm one of the people who. I love CD Projekt Red. They do good shit. They do amazing work, and their reputation is well earned. But the circle jerk is so annoying. Just wish sometimes it would calm down. But like when you see this, it's like this is gonna amplify if that was indicative of the whole product. Because between the character creation system, which was a mixture of almost like Fallout and Mass Effect, you pick your backstory, but you also have like a skill tree system where you can, like I said, the skills that I remember were like strength, tech, engineering. That's all I can really think of at this moment in time, and how you can interact with the universe based off those skills. Like I said in my video, you could engineer your way out of a room by like messing with some type of control panel, or you could use your tech skill to hack a keypad, and that's how you could exit the room. So it like rewards how you build your character. I didn't see any conversation options for those. But it all boiled down to one choice that the developer had made while playing the game that sent us on this path. Pretty much, this gang member asked you for your help doing something, and you had to get money to get, or he wanted to get this bot. And there were multiple ways of going about it, but our playthrough, we decided to get the money for this bot by working with the government. And it brings you on this whole different path where you get caught in a government meetup with them, you're held at gunpoint, you can betray them right there and the story will go off on a whole different path, or you can just stick with them, and then you go into this other hideout with these people who, it's kind of like a really tense, almost drug deal sort of scenario, where like everyone, you got like 4 people pointing guns at each other. Like I said, like, and this is the first hour of the game they're showing. And as you can tell, as I'm rolling on, like, it's like there's so much to remember. There's so much that happens. It was overwhelming. Like, it was legit, and in a good way. It was like, so much good shit is happening right now. Choice and Consequence was so legit in it. I love the way the upgrade system worked. Since you're kind of like a... I wish I knew the right word for it. Oh, you are a cyberpunk. I'm sorry. So you're able to upgrade yourself with tech. So you go to this doctor, and you actually put your arm on the chair, and he starts installing like different upgrades onto your arm, and you see them physically, but also they gave her new abilities, like being able to, he upgraded something with your eye, so you actually see your head, not from the third-person perspective, get removed, but you actually see like the camera get picked up and moved, and he starts like putting a screwdriver in your eye and stuff, and like working on you, and you gain ability to scan people and see like the probability of conflict. So the best way to describe it was to pull all that together, because it was just a lot of info splattering at you, is think of Prey 2, the one that we never got, that got canceled. Think of that, Deus Ex, and the RPG mechanics of The Witcher. And you got yourself Cyberpunk. And some excellent first-person shooting mechanics, by the way. Like, really fucking good.
Why can't they just give us the trailer, though? That's the one thing. Like, I'm also a huge fan of CD Projekt Red. Mm-hmm. I mean, they make quality products, but we're fucking 2018 here. You know, closed-door demos do not do it. And I think a big thing is, you know, that we can't, especially given kind of the overall gaming climate with where stuff is and promises hype and you know, microtransactions and loot boxes. I think that right now it's more important than ever to be transparent. And, you know, CD Projekt Red has already made it very clear that, you know, the idea of microtransactions in their games is fucking laughable. You're going to get the best damn product available for your $60. And as we've seen from The Witcher 3 DLCs, when they do DLCs, like, the $15 you spend is fucking worth. Mm-hmm. Like, the DLCs that they put out are on par with some fucking full-priced games.
Yeah.
But show it to everyone else. Like, I didn't go to E3 this year because I'm saving up for the wedding. And, like, not being able to see it, like, I want to fucking know. I want to see it, CD Projekt Red. Let the public open the goddamn doors and let the public see it. Stop hiding it.
My thoughts are, I was talking to some of the people who worked at CD Projekt Red, and like you could get like a sense of nervousness, and they shared it on Twitter afterwards. They were like, we were really nervous leading up to this. So my thought is, I don't know if it's a confidence thing, which I don't know how after The Witcher you're not super confident in your work, but yeah. I mean, you put all your heart into your art. It's like they may have just wondered, do we want to get torn up by the internet yet? Let's see what the press thinks, because afterwards they handed out like opinion cards that you could hand in anonymously. And my thing was, like, under the additional section, I wrote show the public, because, like, it was that good, where I was like, it's ready to be seen. But I think they were gathering feedback from the press and seeing, like, how they reacted, then how the public reacted in turn. I don't think it'll be long until you guys see what we saw.
Yeah, because all the press I've heard, people are literally just ejaculating all over the place over how amazing it supposedly was.
It's very good. It's just, oh.
So Skill Up, the YouTuber, he got to see it too, and he asked what Maddie did. It's like, you know, like, why are you possibly not showing this public? And I think the answer he got, same way Maddie did, where it was like alluding to things. But what he understood from it, first of all, he said same thing Maddie did. He was like, dude, it's legitimately beyond next generation. Like, it'll blow your mind when you see it. That, I mean, and he's not one for that kind of hyperbole, usually when he sees something early. But he did say his thought process when he talked to them was that they were worried about a Witcher 3 downgrade. And the worry that the public would expect one thing and their graphics targets another. and you'll get a
I thought
Watch
it looked
Dogs effect.
better. I mean, dude, the world was
No.
dense.
They're just worried that as they build out for that tech target, like Watch Dogs, Watch Dogs got caught in a code freeze, and people don't understand development enough, so they think it's only going to look better. That's not how development works. So his opinion when he talked to people was that it was more like, just like you said, confidence, making sure people thought a certain thing, and then sort of understanding where they were. And remember, Witcher 3 got a downgrade, and people shat all over it. We may have liked The Witcher, but it did get a downgrade. Watch Dogs got a severe downgrade. And I think right now we want to see it, but I think they're more, let's have everybody see it who wants to see it closed, and have them react, and then sort of go back and look at it. He was
Absolutely.
excited.
I think that I didn't know that actually about The Witcher 3. And I had paid attention to its E3 coverage, so I didn't know there was like a huge downgrade to it. So that
huge for Watch Dogs, somewhat for Witcher.
Somewhat.
Yeah, there was a like Witcher wasn't.
I didn't think it was terrible. But.
Yeah, it wasn't enough where it like made a major impact on the experience. And honestly, I think that's a lot of that is people just being dickheads. Like The Witcher was still a beautiful game.
Yes.
They're like, oh my god, they made it so that I don't see my hair particles. Oh, shut the fuck up! Like, no
Watch Dogs 1 didn't look bad at all when you played it, but the comparison was out there already. Yeah. It's unfortunate, but
with that in mind, then it makes a little bit more sense, because I mean, dude, like when I'm talking, she leaves her apartment building, and like there's this dense population that reminded me of almost like Hitman, like just a ton of detailed NPC on screen that all feel distinct. And
did you get to drive the car, Maddie?
Yes, we saw car driving. There was car like shooting out the window.
Oh.
That part looked a little bit scripted, I will say.
Oh.
Because it looked like she was like, take the wheel, and she starts leaning out, and like this car is swerving back and forth in between lanes. Like no chance the person's like steering the car and also aiming and shooting. But it may have been just a scripted moment because it was a part of a story mission.
Sure.
It just happened. It was almost like The Last of Us, how we were saying it happened so organically, so dynamically that I was sitting there like, no way.
Yeah.
Wow.
But the thing was like, the difference between The Last of Us and this was like, everything I saw was just raw gameplay. Like it was mostly unscripted aside from that moment there. But The Last of Us, I went on about why I thought like there might be some more scripted moments in there.
What was your level of detail, Maddie? Like, would you say Spider-Man level of detail? Like, I guess, is there a game that you can compare it to? So you said Hitman. That's a good... So the Paris level in Hitman has about 150 to 250 people on screen. Would you say, like, the NPCs looked as detailed or more?
Well, I'm sitting in the back of a theater room here, like, or the left side, rather, of the theater room. From what I was looking at, like I said, she exits her apartment, and it's like almost in a plaza area. So there's like this first level that has a ton of people, and then you see cars like above.
So
that's going on, a whole nother element, and then you see like levels of the plaza with people just walking by up there, and you're like,
awesome.
So I couldn't get like an exact number, but I was like, that's a lot of people, especially when you look at The Witcher, where you have the towns which are cropped with a little amount of people, and even like Novigrad, not super dense. There are a good amount of people, but with this, I was like, fuck, man. Like, that, especially when you account for the gameplay mechanics, the excellent first-person shooting. Oh, man, dude, I didn't even tell you guys about this part. So that raid I was talking about, where you're in this hideout, everyone's holding each other at gunpoint, obviously it goes to shit. So, you're escaping this place. Like I said, you hack your way out of this doorway, and then she hacks into the mainframe. And you have, like, choices from there based off your skills. And so she shuts down all the security guards, like, I think their mainframes are... No, like, their mainframes, so they can't fucking see. She takes out those spikes and, like, starts climbing on the wall, which is a whole other element, turns off, jumps on one guy, like, eviscerates him, and then... Or, I'm sorry, she didn't block out their memory banks. That was an option. You could also jam their guns through this. There's two guards, she, like, eviscerates one, and the guard's like, holy shit, and he backs up and starts, like, to shoot, and he can't, so he's, like, shaking his gun and, like, trying to shoot you, and then she just cuts him down easy like that. And it's, like, that little level of, like I said, like, Deus Ex type of gameplay detail, in a way. Like, being able to fuck with the enemies before they even know you're there. Crazy. There was a type of bullet you could use on your gun, where, let's say... Karak, you're behind like a metal sheet of cover. There's a wall behind you. I'm across the room. I can aim at the wall, and then you'll see a dotted line hitting the wall, and then where it would reflect. So you can shoot ricochet bullets. So
that's awesome.
He like aims around a corner and just shoots off the wall and takes out a guy hiding behind cover. And then he had a shotgun that he charged up. And let's say I'm sitting behind cover, and Karak's like, that's it, I'm rushing you. He starts rushing out of cover. He just sits behind it, charges his shot. You see like a little highlight or outline of him. And he just blasts him through the cover. And the cover doesn't get destroyed, but like it permeates the cover, and then this just plasma ray, once again, just disintegrates this guy.
Damn, man.
Nice. I want to see this footage!
Dude, yeah, that's the thing. That's why I wrote on the thing. I was like, you know, I gave my honest feedback on it. There was one crash where the guy, like, it was a very weird crash. Like, he was running in the demo, or I think he was like dicking around. He like jumped and then tried to ground slide, and when he ground slid, the game just crashed. So, and it was like not during a cutscene or anything like that. He was just running away from an area. So they had to like restart it there. But that's why, like I said, in the feedback card, I would like wrote in capital letters. I was like, show the public. I was like, they need to see this, man. This shit is good.
That's
like,
awesome.
Well
man.
worth the hype.
Would you say above The Last of Us just graphically because of
Last of Us might have looked better graphically. It depends, because they're two completely different games. You have a very fast RPG,
really
which is a lot of like face-to-face conversations. Where I mean, The Last of Us is those cutscenes are gonna be like a movie, man. Like they're gonna be incredible.
It's gonna be awesome. Man.
And like you said, that new motion capture tech. So I mean, if you look at them in their respective divisions, like one's an action adventure single player game and one's like a single player RPG, like they're probably the best looking of their own respective genres.
That's awesome.
So
I can't wait.
Cyberpunk, yeah, dude. Like worth the trip to E3 for that. It was like fucking shit, man. So that was one game I wasn't like telling anyone beforehand, but like I remember making a patron video. I was like, yeah, like I'm visiting Ubisoft, I can talk about that. I'm gonna be visiting Bethesda, I can talk about that. I'm visiting some other people. I can't say quite yet because I was under embargo NDA. I'm sorry for CD Projekt Red, because I knew I was going to see an appointment with them, and I was like, this has got to be Cyberpunk. I can't fucking wait. So that was one dude that I was like super jazzed for, and it was well worth it. But that's
I can't wait.
all I got on that one. All right, well, let's wrap this bad boy up. That was episode 160 of the H.A.M Radio Podcast. Bill, thank you so much for joining, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, I'm glad to finally tag along on one of these.
Yeah, absolutely. Hope it was worth it. I hope you had a good time.
I did. I've been touching myself the entirety of it. That's why the camera.
I think he might have started
only
previously. Yeah, it's not a groin cam, thank God. He's just in his. We think he's dressed. Not at all.
Just the shirt.
Just from the waist up. Yeah, the Macho Man shirt, just naked, being like, keep talking about.
That's why when he stood up,
Daddy.
he like pulled it down. He's like, can't see my dick yet.
Yeah, he's like, whoa, hide the junk.
Anyway, for those who want to check out Gil's channel, once again, it's linked down below. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. The hashtag for this week, I think you should just go with the E3. Yeah, so if you listen this far, we got all the Twitter handles on screen. Tweet at us that you listened with the hashtag E3, and we will catch you guys next week on episode 161. Peace out.